You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. Miller and Moulton, a St. Patrick's Day version. All three of us in green. Slightly different shades of it, too. How are you?
Top of the morning to you. Happy St. Patrick's Day.
Right back at you. You're cooking today, right?
I am. I already started.
What?
I got a loaf of rye bread going in the oven right now in the bread maker.
Wow. Make your own bread and everything. I have to admit, there are times in which I see you as quite a catch.
I'm a very domesticated person.
I know that.
Wife works very hard.
Nice of you to have dinner ready when she gets home.
It's the very least I could do, David.
Already off to a great start, as Steve in our Twitch chat room says, Miller's wearing a collared shirt.
Very few green shirts. Most of them have collars.
I understand. You work with what you have.
Right. It was just, this seemed to be the right St. Patrick's Day green. Too dark. That forest green to me doesn't work as well. You need something that's got a little more
Kelly
pop.
green?
Yeah, a little, so people can see it from a mile away type green.
Felipe, trying to stay awake there, wearing literally a Boston Celtics attire, which I have to admit, it's a good thing that, D-Wade, LeBron, Bosch, and Ray Allen are not here. You, big Heat fan, wearing Celtics attire.
Oh, this is vomit. That's what it is. But it is an Isaiah Thomas jersey, and Isaiah Thomas is a legend. My Isaiah Thomas. Sorry.
Right. I was going to say, we all have an Isaiah Thomas.
He's arguably the second best Isaiah Thomas.
Yeah, you might be right about that.
I'll tell you what. I know for many of us, we don't consider the tournament getting underway until, about 6 hours from now. But Notre Dame and Rutgers, if you were paying attention, that's worthy of a tournament game right there.
What time did it tip?
9:30 is my understanding.
Okay.
I looked at the phone. That's what it was telling me. So, and then it goes double overtime.
Right.
So that baby ended midnight-ish.
It was about an hour ago.
Right. It was a good game, though.
Late night for those in Dayton.
It was a very good game. Not that the odds makers know what they're doing or anything, but the point spread was 1 for a game that went double OT and was decided by 2. We were 3-2 so far
this week.
Yeah, college hoops. 2-2 on the play-in games, and we gave you Iona and the points last night against the Gators. And so the points were needed, but they covered.
So we'll bet an NIT game is what you're saying.
And we may bet some women's NCAA tournament games also. There are a couple lines that I'm telling you are off. So you're going to have to rely on my expertise.
I'm in.
We do make at least one, but usually an annual women's tournament bet in the first round. We dip into our joint LLC account.
And thousands and
right.
Thousands of dollars.
Huge money.
Enough to make $100 bet.
Right. Because we don't have much more in the account. So Miller and Moulton on this St. Patrick's Day. Man, there's just so much going on.
No, it doesn't end. And with baseball doing what they're doing, it just adds on to what is a incredibly hot time of year.
When Jake Glazer tweeted out around dinner time last night that I think this Deshaun Watson thing could be done before you wake up in the morning. And so we booked a couple of guests accordingly. Now, as of right now, it's not done. Don't know if the Texans are sleeping on it. Don't know if Deshaun is sleeping on it. Don't know if there are last-minute adjustments to any offers coming in. But Deshaun has met with 4 teams. And we think this is the Final 4. There's a really good chance he ends up in the NFC South.
But remember, the NFC South is not allowed to use the Final 4. That would be copyright infringement. Now both the men's and women's tournament. It only took
Right. It only took until the debacle that was last year's tournament on the women's side for the NCAA to go, maybe we should call both the same thing.
Shocking.
And I think, by the way, that's how Mark Emmert sounds.
If he doesn't, he should. At least when he does talk, that's what I hear in my head.
KM in our Twitch chat room says, Mark, I made a beer bread last week. Have you ever done such a thing?
My mom used to make beer bread all the time. It's delicious.
Beer bread. I don't know that I've ever had that. I've had a lot of pumpernickel in my day, a lot of rye, wheat, and
beer
white.
bread, usually just a white bread, but you use beer instead of water. It's very puffy, very wonderful.
Very wonderful.
Well, first off, bread is wonderful.
Well, it
Let's
is.
get right down to it. All of you, dieting people out there understand one thing. You'd go back to bread if you could.
Oh, man.
Carbs are happiness.
Not going to get any argument from me.
Every once in a while, I try to shape up. And a lot of the times we try to shape up now is, get rid of the bread, get rid of the pasta.
Right.
And my wife will just look at me after about 4 or 5 days and say, carbohydrates make you happy. And she's not wrong.
No, she's not.
And that's why today, a lot of potatoes, David. A lot of, the corned beef, sure, but a lot of potatoes.
Mark, you never have to convince me to eat a lot of potatoes. It is probably the most Irish thing about me. I love me some potatoes, although not sweet potatoes, and I don't know why.
Yeah, but those aren't really an Irish thing, so there you have it.
Good. Now I feel better about it. Always had a little sweet potatoes guilt. Now it's going away.
Perfect.
Good to know.
Perfect.
Man, a lot of big names getting released, a lot of big names getting signed. Baseball, football. If you missed it overnight, Freddie Freeman's a Dodger. Chris Bryant is a member of the Colorado Rockies.
Going to spend the rest of his career in Colorado facing 3 teams that are better than him.
I was going to say, never going to play a meaningful game in the rest of his life. Signed a 7-year deal, though. We already got a listener who sent a tweet out to the both of us basically saying, so of the 7, where do you put the over-under before he says to Colorado, get me the hell out of here? Took the money, though. When you take the money, $26 million for 7 years.
It's going to hit a lot of home runs there.
Yeah, he is. There's no
doubt.
doubt.
Put up a bunch of impressive numbers.
Yep.
Who knows if that means they'll get a bunch of bats around him. I'm not going to say never on the meaningful baseball game because I don't know how long the Padres will keep on keeping on with what they're doing. I just don't. And the Giants are fickle, and the fact that, hell, they were every other year for a while. They were going first to last. The Dodgers aren't going to quit. But there are 9 million teams in the playoffs now.
Oh, stop it. There's only 6 in each league. Come on now. It's 12 out of 30. I mean, what are we talking? Is that 40%? Yeah, I think it's 40%. Come on. It's the least, I think, of all the major pro sport leagues.
It is. You're right.
So
they'll get it, and they'll watch them get it to 14, and then they'll once they get to 32, they'll try to get it to 16.
Well, but you make a dadgum good point. But for the next 5 years anyway, it's going to stay at 12 out of 30. I mean, the NFL's got 14 out of 32. And, of course, the other 2 sports are damn ridiculous. If you don't make the playoffs, there's a reason why you get fired. Over half the league makes the playoffs.
But I don't think, put it this way, if we were doing a show in Denver this morning on KTHC, is what I think it's called in Denver.
Well done.
And you wanted to submit as a poll question, will Chris Bryant play in a meaningful or in a playoff game? I would actually vote yes. Just on the wild card part of it over 7 years. And the Rockies aren't afraid to try.
No, they're not.
I mean, their front office has shown that they can go all in,
right,
and they've made moves, and they've played postseason baseball before. So I would actually bet in 7 years they'll play in the postseason.
Well, that's good that you see the glass is half full this morning.
Oh, I only see it as a quarter full, David. You're right that this, on paper, looks like a ridiculous opportunity for Colorado to spend a lot of money for a lot of bad baseball. But baseball's fickle. They'll get to a postseason.
The Buffalo Bills seem all in to me. How about you?
There's not a doubt in my mind. And they were already all in before Von Miller.
Well, I mean, they were serious contenders. They were, I think, the betting favorite before yesterday's business. But yesterday just showed once and for all, when you're signing one of those long-term big money contracts with a guy who you think is year to year as to whether or not he's going to keep playing, and you sign him to a deal which takes him to the latter part of this decade, you're like, oh, wow. You're serious.
I will tell you, Von is officially now a mercenary.
Nothing wrong with that, by the
Not
way.
at all. Not at all. I mean, Ndamukong Suh has done it in a different way. Von Miller went to L.A. and put out the Instagram, I'm always a Bronco.
Right.
Denver's home.
Yeah.
Well, then they just got a quarterback. Why didn't you go back to Denver?
Well, because they weren't offering the
Money
money.
Buffalo was.
Well, I mean, think about it, though. The Broncos, he would have gone back. I think if the money they gave Randy Gregory, if they had offered that deal to Von Miller, I think he signs it. But they chose Randy Gregory. If for no other reason, because they think Randy Gregory is going to play 4 or 5 years. And Von Miller's, what, 32? Going to play this year at 33? I think he turns 33 in 10 days. And so, you know, I mean, how long do you think a 33-year-old pass rusher is going to play?
I'm with you. And I love it. I just find the irony, you know, players just go from place to place. They don't usually put out the ad saying, always a Bronco.
Tell you what, though, if you're Von Miller, how many players have rings from 3 different teams? He's got a chance to do that. I mean, they'll always speak highly of him in
Absolutely.
Rams country. He came in, he performed. I think he had 5 sacks in the 8 regular season games he was there for. He had 4 sacks in 4 playoff games.
Well, that was the thing. In the regular season, the first couple games, he was on shaky ground trying to get his footing.
Right.
And then when it became important,
right,
he turned it on.
He said, I'm ready.
I mean, the last 8 games, he was a stud.
Right. Tell you what, if you could put 99, just a couple of, players down from me, if he could get the attention, I can take care of my guy. So Von Miller with the Bills also then signed O.J. Howard as a second tight end. That's a nice little signing as a second tight end. Maybe this team will throw him the ball.
I will say, for those of you that want Gronk back in Tampa, the O.J. Howard to Buffalo signing was a good day for you.
Also, he apparently was sighted in Tampa yesterday. I don't know if he was getting a haircut or what, but apparently Gronk was in Tampa yesterday. So they're getting excited. They think more and more of the band is coming back into the fold.
And it will. And they were able to get Godwin off of the franchise and get a long-term deal to save a little money for this year. Pieces are starting to the puzzle's starting to be put together, David.
They are. It's not the full puzzle. Some
No.
pieces are going to be missing.
But it looks as if all the end pieces are in place. Now we just have to fill out the middle.
It kind of gets us back to the whole bread and potatoes thing, right? Filling out the middle.
Carbs.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Because you got to get up like 4:40-ish to do this show.
Right.
And obviously now you're here doing this show. How's the whole bread thing? I mean, it's like somebody having to do something.
It's a bread maker, literally. My wife's got to plug it in, hit select, hit start.
Well,
it'll be done in 4 hours.
But that sounds like also somebody having the responsibility of the morning coffee. And I know in households all over the world, occasionally people forget their morning coffee responsibilities.
She could forget. If she forgets, then the loaf of bread will be done around 2:10.
Oh, okay.
Not going to hurt anything sitting there for a couple more hours.
All right. Good to know. That's all. I'm worried about the bread.
Now, I did leave my phone at home this morning, so I don't have the ability to shoot her the text to say, hey, get the bread on.
Wow. That's the second time lately you've done that. What's going
2
on?
coffees, a water, a backpack. Sometimes I forget something. I don't know what to tell you. It's 5:30 in the morning, for crying out loud.
Make sure you check us out, the Miller and Moulton Twitch.tv channel, if for no other reason than Mark has made the crawl St. Patrick's Day green. Aaron, go bra to you too. Miller and Moulton. Top of the morning to you. How the heck are you? St. Patrick's Day edition here on the Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
For Omaha Steaks money, and have yet to get it.
I have it. What did you send the invoice for?
300.
Okay.
Since he said that's what we were getting.
Okay.
I thought we were getting 4.
I thought we were getting 5, but it kept dropping.
So, when the money was not included in our March 15th payment, I just sent her an email and said, hey, and she said, I got it. Because I also sent her an email that said, hey, we were told like a week ago the money's in, but we need to send an invoice. So just kind of wondering, hey, I sent you an invoice. So she just said, I just gotta, get a hold of Marty and make sure that the money is in fact in. She said, I can't take your word for it. I got to get his. I go, I got it.
We're going to go with the corned beef question.
You want to?
What else you got?
How are you going to frame it? What's the corned beef question?
I'm just putting happy St. Patrick's Day. Are you a corned beef and cabbage guy?
Okay.
Yes. No, that's disgusting.
Eve wants to know, do you want your phone?
Sure. More importantly, start the bread. Ryan, I'm right with you. Right with you. I don't think I took a 12. If I am, I don't know who you take. Do you take? I don't know enough about New Mexico State to take them. I'm not taking UAB over Houston. I mean, you could take the Hoosiers play-in game.
See, normally people would pick against Iowa in a 5-12, but people are now buying Iowa off of the Big Ten tournament appearance.
I was buying Iowa before that, though. They can score. Felipe is out. Oh, need to go walk around when we start this segment.
The Indiana St. Mary's 5-12 point spread's 2.5. That's the smallest of the 5-12 point spreads.
It's the one I was just saying.
The New Mexico State UConn one is interesting, though. It's 6.5.
Come back.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
$23 past the hour. Miller and Moulton, St. Patrick's Day edition, Florida Sports Network. How many people wear green today, and this is like the only day all year they wear green?
Well, if you're a Michigan fan, I would say they would count. Other than that, people, I don't know. I mean, I wear green a lot, so.
You do?
Yeah. This is the only solid color green. Well, I've got a couple of Michigan State shirts. I mean, I have green eyes. Green's a color that looks good on me, so I wear green. At least that's what people tell me.
Well, with your features, you've got brown features, so yeah, green would look pretty good.
So.
I like things with green accents, if that makes sense.
Accents.
Like lines, kind of.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got it.
We were aware of what an accent is, but
green,
thank you.
Green trim is what you're
Correct.
basically saying. Okay. All right. Fair enough. So, I've yet to do my bracket.
So I was goofing around last night on the phone, and I just kind of pressing buttons, and I like to write it. I don't like to do an online bracket first. I like to
write
that thing out.
Okay.
And I get to my Sweet 16s, and it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 5, 1, 2, 3, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4. And I went, oh God, stop now.
But if you're trying to win, that's actually how you should do the bracket. If you're trying to win, you should play the percentages. Now, I think we get chaos. I root for chaos always, but I think we're going to get a little bit of chaos based on November and December. See, once we got into conference play, we kind of forget everything that took place in the first half of the season or the first third of the season. But remember, we had chaos the first 6-7 weeks of the college basketball season.
Hell, David, we had chaos in late February when the top 6 ranked teams in the country all lost on the same damn day. The whole year has been chaos.
So why do you think that all of a sudden we're going to get to the tournament and it's going to go according to Hoyle?
It's why I didn't like anything about the bracket that I filled out. It was why I don't like pressing buttons as opposed to looking at it a little more organically.
There is one storyline that I am really rooting for, and sorry to have to do this to you.
Why I picked him.
The Michigan State alum. But I like Davidson in the 7-10 matchup against Sparty, but I'm also rooting for it for this reason. Coach K and Duke, they play most everybody, but for whatever reason, will not play in-state school Davidson. And so I want Davidson to get their crack at Duke, and obviously last chance to do it with you-know-who as coach.
Well, and the other side of that, too, is that this pod was put together so that Coach K could have his farewell tour here and play Tom Izzo in the second round.
Right.
Beat Michigan State. You got that great center court ceremony with 2 all-time great coaches, the greatest coach ever, maybe, since Wooden and Izzo, and they can embrace, and it's wonderful, and kumbaya. Michigan State's not good. I picked Davidson to beat them. I've actually watched them play.
Of course, the funny thing is, I believe the last time the two teams played in the tournament, didn't Sparty get them in a region final? Wasn't it the Zion?
Yeah, they did.
Reddish, RJ Barrett team, and they beat them, I think, by 1 or something like that in a region final. Terrific game.
Cassius Stanley.
That's right. So, a lot of money coming in on Coach K also. A lot of money in the last 48 hours. People thinking it's going to be
you're
not
playing
Cinderella,
against,
but, Hollywood ending.
Well, not Hollywood. Yeah, Hollywood, because it's going to be fixed. You're not only going to have to beat Duke, you're going to have to beat the officials that cheat for Duke at every game that's played.
Oh, stop it.
Nobody gets more calls than Duke. No.
They get a lot.
Correction, Cassius Winston, not Cassius Stanley.
They get a lot. And he will get calls in this tournament. There's no question.
Oh, my goodness. Let's just study free throw disparity in Duke games in this tournament.
Duke is not playing well defensively the last couple of weeks of the season, though. So, and sometimes teams, you get in the tournament, the one and done thing, and the effort's a little bit better, and they focus on things that they maybe don't focus on all year. But the last couple of weeks, Duke defensively has been giving up a ton of points.
Duke got a 2 that I don't know if they deserved.
I would agree with that. Tennessee seemed more deserving of the 2 than Duke. That would have been the SEC getting 3 2s, with Auburn and Kentucky also 2s.
I don't know what to tell you. They were the best conference this year.
I'm riding Kentucky. People are riding Gonzaga and or Arizona. That seems to be the very trendy. The Arizona coach was Mark Few's right-hand guy for 20-plus years, and he inherits all of Sean Miller's players, and he's done a great job with it. Oh, by the way. But people are riding Gonzaga and or Arizona. Been 25 years since the Pac-12 teams won the title. Arizona in 97.
And since then, Arizona has largely disappointed in the tournament, no matter who the coach has been.
We all know Gonzaga has gotten to, Gonzaga has gotten to the Final Four, I believe, 3 times. Played for the title last year, as we know. Baylor whooped them. They've never won it. Is this their time? So that a lot of people riding the West Coast teams.
It's funny because, and I'm between Gonzaga and Kentucky. The winner of that game to me, and I have them both in the Final Four, the winner of that game will cut the nets down. They're on the same side. But I look at the Kansas region, and Kansas has had some moments where they've been really good, and then they got whipped by Kentucky.
Oh, destroyed.
I mean, just destroyed. They've
like 30.
They've lost some other games here and there, but I look at in Auburn also up and down. I look at the Midwest as being the region where all hell could break loose. I don't trust Kansas nor Auburn.
Well, I don't trust Auburn. They have shaky point guard play. Don't know how you go on a big tournament run with shaky point guard play. I actually think it's a chance for the winner of USC Miami to do a little something there, because then also Wisconsin's the 3. Now, Wisconsin at their best, quite frankly, Wisconsin at their best this year has played like a 1. All right. But then again, Wisconsin has also played like a 6.
Right. But Wisconsin's going to get the winner of LSU, Iowa State. LSU's coach just got fired. I think if LSU gets through 1, I don't know if they get through 2, David. I just think that will be a factor with a quick turnaround. You've lost a coach. How can that not mean something in this game?
LSU's just glad it's not Arkansas. They can beat anybody except Arkansas. They're 0-3 against the Hogs this year.
Another team that I really like.
If they can get out of the first round.
Bingo.
Their 4-13 matchup
scares the bejibbers out of me.
Yes.
The 4-13s are more interesting to me than all of the 5-12s.
This year.
Yes. I mean, here, West bracket. Before I know we got to get to a break. We're coming up on it. Connecticut, New Mexico State versus Arkansas and Vermont. That's my problem, not knowing enough about New Mexico State, but Vermont, Arkansas is more interesting to me.
Vermont ran roughshod through the America East tournament, beating all three teams by over 30 points.
Houston plays UAB in the South. Illinois plays Chattanooga. Chattanooga has the kid that was with Kansas last year that never played.
Sousa, right?
Right. That's a lottery pick.
Mm-hmm.
You have a lottery pick on your team and you're a 13.
I'll say this about Houston. You take a look at their resume, it's pretty flimsy. I believe the best win on their schedule is Memphis early in the season when Memphis is not the team they are now.
We're all riding Iowa a little bit because we watched how well they played in the Big Ten tournament. They play Richmond. Richmond, who earned their way in by winning a conference.
And beat Davidson in the final.
Or Providence, South Dakota State.
Well, I'll say this. Ed Cooley is really, he's the favorite. He was the regular season Big East champion. He's the 4, right?
Right.
Yeah, and they're only a 2-point favorite. South Dakota State is a trendy pick.
Yes, they are.
And Cooley is playing it up, saying we're the underdog, playing the no respect card.
And then Akron takes on UCLA in a 4-13 that I think that's the worst of the 4-13s.
I agree.
And then St. Mary's, Indiana, which I think could be the best of the 5-12s. That's in the East.
Well, St. Mary's is only a 2.5 point favorite.
By the way, St. Mary's is the 5 seed. Just want to make sure we point that out to you, because when I say St. Mary's and Indiana, I'm sure you all assumed, unless you're paying really close attention to the play-in games, that sounds like a 5-12 the other way. St. Mary's, the 5.
Miller and Moulton. Speaking of 5, the starting 5 is next here on the Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. And use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Like, what in the absolute?
How'd that go over?
She laughed. No, she laughed.
Okay. Good.
Or we could just put what seed will win the tournament. 1, 2, 3, or 4. 4 or higher.
Or what if we do what seed wins the tournament? 1 through 4.
How
5.
many ones will make the final 4? You want to go tournament?
First 1 seed to be eliminated.
Ooh, I like that.
Taylor. Sonny, do you really consider Rutgers a Big Ten team? I mean, that's quite frankly, that's like, I mean, do folks really consider Notre Dame an ACC team?
Who will be the first number 1 seed to be eliminated? Baylor, Kansas, Arizona, Gonzaga. All right, there we go.
Yeah, that's true, but that's not what I asked. I asked, do you really consider, like, I mean, when you were watching the game and you're watching Rutgers and you're like, damn Big Ten. I mean,
no, because Sonny knows he should be in the Big Ten.
I mean, it's like if you watch the Big Ten Network and they do a 30-minute thing on Rutgers and you're like, what the hell? What are they doing?
So we going to spend the 7 going through the games in our brackets. Is that the plan? Since the 8's completely jammed.
I don't know if people want. I mean, we can do that if you want.
Or just give our final.
Yeah, I was just gonna do Final 4.
Fair enough.
Maybe sleeper.
I didn't know if we'd go through today's games just from a betting standpoint too.
Oh, okay, sure. Yeah,
just trying to make it.
No, I know. Hey, Mark, I'm dragging today.
That's what I said. That's why I'm.
So,
I figure that we got an 8 o'clock hour that's done.
Yeah, and the first segment of the 9 too.
Right.
And then the last segment of the 9.
Right. So
right.
We worked that through the 7.
Right.
This hour's over.
Smoke them.
Bada bing, bada boom.
Right. No, I got it. Right.
You won't be able to go and get a 2-hour nap before you come over and watch hoop.
Yeah. Well, it's if I make it. I had a power nap yesterday. That's probably what did it.
Couldn't go back to bed. How long did you sleep?
I was about $1.20.
I will say it was funny. My doctor said, I was talking about, how's you been sleeping? I said, I've been terribly. I sleep terribly. I said, I think I need to get a nap. She went right away. She goes, not more than an hour. She says, it'll kill your sleep at night. By the way, these shirts that David and I have on look more like Miami Dolphins jerseys on camera than the green that they are.
Are those shorts you have on out there? You look like you're ready to go hooping. First half of the game last night, 49-48.
Thanks for listening. And now, more of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
As we are rapidly approaching 20 minutes before the hour, happy St. Patrick's Day. Happy full field NCAA tournament gets underway day. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. Thanks so much for being with us. It is time now for
The Starting Five. 5 stories you need to know. It's the Starting 5 on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
Pay attention. There's a ton going on. We'll start with football. Bucks. I mean, they've already placed the tag on Godwin. Now they don't need it. Signed him to a 3-year, $60 million deal. It actually lowers his cap hit for this coming season.
Of course it does.
I'm just so confused.
Kick it down the road, David. Kick it down the road.
The Dolphins land Raheem Mostert. 1 year, a little over $3 million. If he could stay healthy, it sounds like a nice signing. Dolphins have their backfield together. He played 2 snaps last year. Played like 6 games the year before that.
He's huge in the Super Bowl, no?
Right. That Super Bowl was 2 full years ago. He's played like 6 games since.
Gotta have faith.
Fortunately,
No, you don't.
it was only a 1-year, little over $3 million deal. Speaking of deals, the Bills signed Von Miller. He's 33 years old at the end of this month, and they signed the pass rusher to a 6-year, $120 million deal. We know he ain't playing 6 years. We don't even know if he's playing 3. But Mark, Von is getting paid $45 million at signing and $51.5 million guaranteed.
And that's exactly what he'll get is $51.5 million.
It's probably a 2-year, $51.5 million deal, but it's listed as 6 for $120. O.J. Howard leaves the Bucs for the Bills, a 1-year, $3.5 million deal with incentives he could make $5 million. The Browns cut Austin Hooper. So much for the $20 million for the 2 tight ends, Njoku and Hooper. They cut Hooper. I would think for those of you that play fantasy, Njoku may be a better play this year than he has been.
Especially with Deshaun Watson at quarterback.
Right. The Commanders cut linebacker Matt Ioannidis, guard Eric Flowers, safety DeShazer Everett. They saved $19 million with the cuts. The agent for Ioannidis not very happy. They said 2 weeks ago they looked us dead in the face and said, your guy's rock solid, not going anywhere. Agent said, come on, really? Is that how you're going to do business? Chandler Jones signs with the Raiders, so they cut Ryan Nassib. They also are looking to trade Ngakoue. Miles Jack, cut by the Jags, going to sign with the Steelers, a 2-year, $16 million deal. Rams cut their longtime punter, Johnny Hecker, saves them $2 million. The Titans will release Julio Jones. They're not going to do so until June 1st when they can save the most money, $9.5 million. The tricky part is when you wait until June 1st to cut somebody, you don't have that money until
June 1st.
Right. And it was made official yesterday. The new big money Monday Night Football booth is Joe Buck and Troy Aikman.
He finished up on Fox last night.
He did?
Yes.
They didn't have a football game last night.
He was eliminated on The Masked Singer.
Huh.
You didn't know he was doing that, did you?
No. I also don't watch the show.
Well, I don't either.
But he's done a lot of other things in the last year or so. Appeared on Celebrity Family Feud, hosted Jeopardy. I have a feeling you're going to see him do more things. Like, it would not shock me. I'll make a prediction. And I have not talked to Joe. So this is just me, throwing it out there. Would not be surprised if he fills in for Kimmel in his first year with ABC/ESPN.
Interesting.
Would not surprise me if he does a summer game show. Honestly, I think Joe's wanting to do other things.
I mean, you only can do so many World Series and so many Super Bowls.
Well, it's 24 World Series, 6 Super Bowls. Major League Baseball, speaking of the World Series, Freddie Freeman's a Dodger.
Ooh.
Well, the Braves moved on.
I wanted him to be a Ray.
Yeah, I know.
That would have been really cool if they would have pulled that
awesome.
off. That would have just been out there, something you wouldn't have expected. You beat the Dodgers for a free agent. Would have been fantastic.
6 years, $162. That means $27 million a year for Freddie Freeman. Chris Bryant got $26 million a year for 7 years from the Rockies. 7 for $182. Zach Greinke goes back to Kansas City. A 1-year, $13 million deal. Zach, could you make 30 starts? They could really use it. And finally, Chris Sale was working out a week or so ago. Felt some pain in his right side. Turns out he's got a stress fracture in his 8th rib. He's going to have to wait for it to heal. Likely not going to be ready for opening day. All right, college hoops. Terrific game. Play-in. Battle of 11 seeds. Notre Dame and Rutgers. The Irish get a putback with less than 2 seconds to go in double OT and win it 89-87. Wright State, as we forecasted, advanced in the battle of 16 seeds. They beat Bryant by 11. Xavier fired Travis Steele. 4 years at Xavier after replacing Chris Mack. Didn't take him to the NCAA tournament one time.
Almost got there this year. They were...
Oh, they were in and then collapsed.
And then the Richmonds and the rest of it happened. So, yeah, they ended up... He could have saved his job this year, I think.
This is when you know that they want you gone. They're in the NIT. They won 2 nights ago.
Right.
They fired him while still alive in the NIT. That screams to me there's somebody that they want, and if they wait until the NIT's over, they may lose him. It's reported that Archie Miller is going to land at Rhode Island. Kenny Payne is going to be the next Louisville head coach. And top Tennessee assistant Michael Schwartz is going to be the ECU coach. Speaking of the NIT, the Gators survive at home against Iona. They trail by 7 at the half. They win, but they don't cover 79-74. By the way, it'll be Florida against Xavier in the NIT. FGCU a winner in the tournament that they're in. They beat Detroit by 16 last night. On the women's side, first time they've ever had play-in games. Howard and Dayton were winners. Florida State's in a play-in game tonight. NBA, a good one in Cleveland. Sixers edged the Cavs, 118-114. A really good one in Brooklyn. Dinwiddie, a 3 at the buzzer. Dallas, 113-111 over the Nets. Phoenix beat Houston by 17. T-Wolves over the Lakers by 20. Boston in Golden State over the Warriors by 22. Denver by 18 over the Wizards. Knicks won by 30. Toronto by 3. Milwaukee by 9. The Jazz by 15. San Antonio by 2. And Charlotte by 10. NHL. First off, there's a trade deadline Monday, 3 o'clock.
Right.
And yesterday, last night, a couple of deals finally started getting made.
Well, and the Panthers made one, picking up the
defenseman from the Canadians, Sherratt.
Right, who wears a letter, a little bit of leadership, a little bit of backbone, a little bit of help for the postseason.
Well, and that's
remember last year, the Canadians made a deep run.
Made it all the way to the final. And when they acquired Sherratt, and they gave up a decent amount for him, a good young player, and they gave up a first-round pick and what have you, but they said, hey, we need playoff experience. We're hoping to make a deep run. So there may be more guys like this. I mean, they just flat said, we may not be done. They also traded, which is interesting, Frank Vetrano to the Rangers. Vetrano scored 2 goals the night before, including the game winner. And got dealt.
How you like me now?
Tampa Bay beat Seattle 4-1. Calgary doubled up New Jersey 6-3. Columbus over Toronto 4-1. And Seattle doubled up Boston 4-2. No, that can't be right.
No.
I can't read my own writing, so I don't know who.
San Jose? I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't have it in
I have
front of
to
me.
go with it.
I left a phone somewhere.
I wrote it at like 1 a.m. I don't know. So Bruins lost. That I know.
To the Wild, David. 4-2.
Wow. That is not what I wrote down. I can tell you that.
All right. Fair enough.
And I think that's it.
That was the Starting Five every weekday morning at this time on Miller and Moulton.
Question in our Twitch chat room: what does Buck and Aikman on Monday Night Football mean for the Manning cast?
Nothing.
I think they're scheduled to do 10 of them this year, up from 7 last year. So obviously Joe and Troy will do every single Monday Night Football game, except for the first week when they have 2 of them. And Levy and Riddick, by the way, unless Riddick gets the GM job for the Steelers, Levy and Riddick looks like will be the B team this year. I believe that's what was announced by ABC.
Surprised they didn't go back. Well, Herb Street's already doing Thursday, but I'm surprised, and unless it's contractually, Herbie can only do NFL games for Amazon, that they wouldn't stick him on the other Monday with Fowler like they did the one time, which I thought was a great listen.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if Herbie would sign that kind of contract with Amazon that would say that you can't also do games on another network, because, you know, Troy was negotiating with Amazon and there was talk he would do Amazon and still do half a Fox schedule or what have you. So I don't think Amazon is insisting on broadcaster exclusivity. If I was Amazon, I wouldn't. I'd want my guys to get as much exposure as possible. I'm trying to get people to watch our games.
Yeah, I'm just wondering why they didn't get that gig. I guess it's just a thank you for Steve for doing Monday night for a couple of years, and now you don't do it anymore.
Yeah, I think it's because they're under contract and they got a raise when they got the gig. So I think they might be fulfilling a contract. I believe Herbie's contract's up in a year with the 4-letter network. And I would bet a large amount of money that the B team in a year is Chris and Kirk.
By the way, I don't think you pointed this out. Someone said in the Twitch chat room, Spits on Sports here, that Steph Curry rolled the foot last night in that.
Got rolled up on left ankle, yeah.
Left the game early, and they ended up getting blown out. But
absolutely blown out.
Lost by 22, I think.
Celtics are playing really good ball, and they might be, after the moves that Stevens has made, they might be the best defensive team that'll be in the playoffs. If defense can still win in basketball anymore, the Celtics should have a deep run. I think Boston and Miami, probably two best defensive teams out there, at least in the East. Miller and Moulton.
We're going to poll question up. We have a poll question up, I should say. We're not even going to get one up. We have a poll question up.
What is it?
Who will be the first 1 seed to be eliminated?
Oh, I like it. I'm going Baylor.
I'm between Arizona and Kansas.
Look at you. Going back to the well for big boy programs that
disappoint.
Huh. Yeah, Baylor, they lost a guy late in the season. I don't think they played as well down the stretch. Don't think they're the team they were last year at all. So I'm going Baylor, first one out. I'm going to Auburn as the first 2 seed out. I don't think Auburn makes the Sweet 16. I think winner USC Miami takes them out.
All right. I do think Wisconsin's going to go deep.
Well, they're scheduled to go to the second week. They're scheduled to meet Auburn in the Sweet 16. So you think Bucky Badger's going to at least the Elite Eight.
That's about as far as I have them going, but that definitely could be the case.
Miller and Moulton. Got a good show lined up for you. We'll head to Cleveland in the 8 o'clock hour. We'll head to Jacksonville in the 8 o'clock hour, and we'll talk with John Fanta.
Love it.
He'll make his picks in a very excited way here on Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
David Moulton for Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa Filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa Filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa Filters.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program The Training Grove, with a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, the Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with the Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Oh my God. That's pretty funny. Did you see Carl Anthony? You see this little tweet of Carl Anthony Towns catching the air ball by Westbrook? His face.
KM, we thought last year's ratings showed that if you're really into the game, you watch the broadcast. And that the Manning cast is more for the casual or even the person who would not watch, but they'll watch the Manning cast.
And remember, there was, 12 million watching Monday Night Football, and
A shade over 13 million watched the broadcast, and about $1.50 watched the Manning cast on average. So think about that.
And I'll be interested, for me, I'll watch a bit more, not even a little bit because of you. I like more because I like Joe, but I watched the Manning cast because I couldn't stand Steve Levy.
Right, you're anti-Levy.
He's terrible. He shouldn't be allowed to do play-by-play. No, he's come on, David. He's effing terrible, okay? He's a good studio host. He's good at some things that he does there. There's no way you last that long without being good. But he is not a good play-by-play guy at all. I'm a better play-by-play guy than he is.
Talking about Levy?
Yeah. He can't even do hockey. That's his sport. Give me a break. Uh-oh, Philly's got lights on. He's really tired.
Got to go walk around the building a little bit.
Go get a Monster Energy or something.
Go walk outside.
Drink coffee.
I just walked outside.
Oh.
Lonnie. El Cuatro.
I was going to play golf Friday. Then I realized there's no school Friday. My wife's got a half day. We're on spring break, David.
Right. Right.
Tony, I love those comments. I have to agree with Mark on this one, meaning normally, Mark, you're a putz, but I hate Steve Levy too.
Is this on Facebook?
Yeah. I have to agree with Mark on this one. I don't want to.
I don't normally.
I really don't want
But,
to.
okay. I'll give him this one.
You jackass.
You jerk.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. Thanks so much for being with us. Got a poll question. It's not just St. Patrick's Day. It's the first day of the full field of the tournament. If you don't get into the whole play-in stuff, although let me tell you, Notre Dame Rutgers last night, I'm glad it was the last play-in game too, because it was kind of like their big announcement, like, hey, it's time for you to get into the tournament. All right, this is a tournament game right here. Two power conference schools playing well, exciting, down the stretch, regulation, both overtimes.
Yeah, I know when you get Big Ten and Big East, I mean Big Ten and ACC.
Yeah, wait, and Rutgers is the Big Ten school.
Right.
Someone in our Twitch chat room is anti-Big Ten, and so with Notre Dame winning, they were like, let's stuck it to the Big Ten. And I'm like, hey, listen, I'm from Jersey. I love me some Rutgers, but come on now. Are you really? Does it feel like you beat a Big Ten school when you beat Rutgers? Come on.
All your Big Ten hate. There's not a Big Ten person out there going, no, you didn't really stick it to us because we don't care.
Right.
We care about Rutgers. Well, not at all.
Right. Like, come on. When the Rutgers show comes on the Big Ten network, don't you chuckle and change the channel?
In fact, we chuckle when they run that Big Ten ad.
Right.
And they show that little Rutgers shot.
Right. It's like when the Big Ten tries to claim 95 Nebraska. I mean, come on. Please. Speaking of football, so it's down to 4 with Deshaun Watson.
Right.
We will head to Houston in a couple hours, talk with the beat writer for the Texans about, where's it going to go in your estimation? So it's 3 NFC South teams in Cleveland. And Chris Mortensen went so far yesterday as to report Baker Mayfield is done in Cleveland no matter where Deshaun Watson's going.
Could lead to what you were talking about yesterday. What's the plan B? Could Cousins be a plan B for Cleveland?
I'm the only person in Western civilization that believes that Cousins is Cleveland's plan B, but I believe that what was thought of last week, the 1-year extension for Cousins, giving him not just this year under contract, but next year, and the 2 years combined average out to 35 per. Once again, Kirk Cousins, maybe the best at playing the business game at that position. For someone who's never been elite, he has been paid pretty damn elite.
Now, David, to be fair, you're not only the only person in all of civilization that has Cousins being traded to Cleveland as a plan B.
Right.
You're the only person that has Cousins being traded.
Correct.
I mean, it's not just to Cleveland.
Right.
Because no one talked about this extension being the groundwork to deal him out of there.
Right. But I think it makes him more tradable. Because think about it, if you were a team acquiring, it's what we talked about yesterday with Jimmy G or Baker Mayfield. I mean, when you acquire a quarterback of all positions, a quarterback who has just the current year under his contract and that's it. Well, I mean, are you really going to give up the assets that you have to give up for a quarterback and only do what the Colts just did with Carson Wentz, be one and done? Or are you, when you're making this decision, going, we better be prepared to slap a 2-year extension on top of it and make this a 3-year deal? I mean, we better be ready to go. Since clearly we don't have a plan at quarterback, it's why we're making this deal. Are we really going to have a new plan in a year? I mean, why don't we just go all in with this guy for 2 to 3 years? So that's why I think Cousins is actually more tradable this week than he was last week.
And to be fair, if Wentz worked out last year for the Colts, then I don't know if teams would be as reluctant to take someone on the one and done year because it would have worked. It is the copycat league. Wentz was a disaster. And now you look at the Colts roster, which is a good roster heading into the season, and you can't have a realistic plan for where they're going to go until we find out who's under center.
It is a good roster, and I am not nitpicking here, but I was listening to somebody, and I think it was, we had a Colts guest on last week, and he said, everybody talks about this good roster. Well, what are the positions that you need if you're going to win in this league right now? Well, you need a really good quarterback. They don't have one. You need weapons at wide receiver. They don't have one. And you need pass rush, particularly off the edge. But you need an elite pass rusher of some kind. Well, they don't have one of them either. Their best players are guards, defensive tackles, linebackers, that sort
Running
of deal.
back.
Yeah, I mean, they're really solid. They got good, solid players. They would be great if we were still in the 70s, 80s, and 90s.
No, you know what, David? They're playing checkers, and they don't have the right, or they're playing chess without the pieces that can make the big moves. There's no queen.
Right.
There's
right. They're playing chess without a queen.
Right.
Right. Hey, you're doing a great job strategically, and you're moving all over the board, and I got to give you a lot of credit, but they're
playing with a bunch of pawns.
I got this queen over here, and I am going to run roughshod over you. Just give me time. I'll wait you out. So, according to Chris Mortensen, the Browns are moving on from Baker Mayfield. He even went so far as to say his Cleveland source told him it's time to get an adult. Oh, which was kind of what we were implying yesterday when he wrote this letter.
Look, I like Baker. I do. I like the bravado. You like your diva quarterbacks. Well, he's a diva quarterback without the talent. So he's just an obnoxious quarterback right now is all he really is. And I still like him. But if I would have been his friend, I would have called him yesterday and just said, who told you to send that? Who on God's green earth told you to send that? And if it's your wife, don't ever listen to her advice again. Because I sure as hell know it wasn't your agent.
So apparently Baker's done in Cleveland, which I think we all thought when he wrote the letter, because you don't write the letter if you think the girl is going to take you back, right? I mean, you just kind of wait it out. You just make sure you're there on the doorstep when she's ready to go back out with you.
I wouldn't know, David. I've never gotten to the point of writing a letter. They're usually so far gone in my life.
But once again, who's out there then? If you're moving on from Baker Mayfield and you don't win the Deshaun Watson sweepstakes, listen, we all understand Carolina. They got Sam Darnold right now. They got 1 year left on the contract. They'll figure out a way to dump him, eat the money, whatever. Keep him as a very expensive backup, whatever. New Orleans, they got nobody right now. They got Taysom Hill under contract. Jameis is technically a free agent. They got no one.
No, I mean, right now I'm looking at the free agent quarterbacks. And you've basically got Ryan Fitzpatrick, of guys that have started any length of time. You can go Fitzpatrick, you can go Andy Dalton, you can go Cam Newton, you can go Jameis, and then you've got the Brissetts, the Mariotas, the Blaine Gabberts of the world. That's where you're at.
Right. And available via trade right now is Jimmy G, and apparently is going to be Baker Mayfield. But the one team that we haven't spent a lot of time talking about is the Atlanta Falcons, who quietly, apparently last week, called Matt Ryan and said, we don't want you to be alarmed, but we're going after Deshaun Watson. Don't know if we're going to get him, but don't want you to hear anything and get upset. And think about where it is that you want to go if we get Deshaun Watson. And Matt kept it to himself, didn't let the word out, didn't through his agent pout and leak it. They're just sitting back and watching because they know that, hey, they could lose out in the Deshaun Watson sweepstakes,
Right.
and then it's still my team. I'm still the guy. All I know is that supposedly before Aaron Rodgers restructured his deal, I think Matt Ryan now is the biggest cap hit in the NFL this year. And so moving him was thought to have been nearly impossible.
His cap number for this year is $36.6 million.
That was just restructured down last week, by
Right.
the way. It was around $46 million last week.
But even if Atlanta moves him, their dead cap money's ginormous.
Ginormous.
If I've got this right, it's like 55 schmil.
Right. Because that's the thing. Trading, cutting, whatever, it's all the same as far as the cap, because all of the bonus money that you are pushing down the road, the minute that person is removed from your roster, it all comes on your cap immediately. Now, I don't know if it's less if they designated a June 1st cut,
Right.
or if they're just going to wait until after June 1st to trade them. But now I will say, if Atlanta wins the Deshaun Watson sweepstakes, and Deshaun, by the way, is from Georgia. So that's why there are some that believe he wouldn't mind playing for the hometown franchise.
Well, and Atlanta's another franchise that I don't think would care. Like other towns. There's going to be backlash wherever he goes. There's going to be people
Right.
going to write columns. There's going to be news stories. I get all of that. I think it goes away in Atlanta more quickly than it would go away in other areas.
Agreed. I mean, when Vic ran into his problems, there was a huge part of the Falcons fan base that still very much wanted him, did not want the Falcons to move on from him. They're like, hey, just ride this thing out. He's our guy.
So right now the Falcons have like $17 million in free cap space. Well, but if they were to get Watson and he's at 29 this year,
No, well, the average AAV is $39 million for 4 years. I believe the cap hit for this season is 35.
okay. So obviously they'd have to make more moves with only 17.
Right.
But if they move Ryan, it doesn't matter so much because that dead cap it actually gets, when they move Ryan, it actually gets worse,
Much.
not better.
Much. Because right now his cap hits 36 and
36.
change, but it would become a 55. So they would not only have to create 18 million more in space just to take on Deshaun. In theory, they would then have to create 19 million more to afford to trade or release Ryan.
Correct.
So for all of this to go down, Atlanta has to create nearly 40 million more in cap room.
You know, the Browns won't have that same problem with clearing out Mayfield. And they've got around the same money the Falcons have. The Panthers have 32 million. It's no problem at all for the Panthers. I have no earthly idea how the Saints pull this off.
Well, I know. They just unloaded 70-something million. They're like $1.43 under the cap.
Yes.
And Deshaun could wake up this morning and go, you know what? New Orleans it is. Well,
Great.
that's fantastic. Can you give me a few minutes? I got to clear some room. And by some room, I'm talking 35 million.
Which is why, if I'm Deshaun, I'd pick Cleveland.
Don't disagree. I don't disagree.
I understand the division. I get all of those things, but they have the most resources now. They've got a running game. They've got a receiver. They've got a defense.
Very quickly, as we head to break, let me ask you this, though. If Atlanta wins the Deshaun Watson sweepstakes, between Cleveland and Indianapolis, two teams that we consider fringe contenders, but if they were to get good, and God forbid they get pretty good or very good, but let's just say they can get good quarterback play in 2022, you can take fringe off of it. They become a contender. Matt Ryan?
Well, I would want him to go to the Colts. He is older. I know he played at BC, so the cold didn't bother him at one point, but he's played in the South in a dome his whole career.
Mm-hmm.
I'd try to keep him indoors. If I'm Matt Ryan, I'd prefer to go to Indianapolis than Cleveland.
But how viable do you think Matt Ryan makes Indianapolis and or Cleveland?
If he were in Indianapolis, I'd pick him to win the division over your Tennessee Titans.
Right. Don't be coming after my RT-17, baby. Just letting you know.
I'll take Matty Ice over RT-17.
How about in Cleveland, though? They were a last place team last year.
So that means they get a last place schedule, which
helps a little.
I mean, the two games makes a big difference between what Cincinnati's getting and what they're getting. It matters a lot. I think it makes them a viable playoff team.
A contender? And you know what I mean by contender.
No, I know what you mean.
Like you make it to the divisional round and you're staring the Chiefs or the Bills or somebody like that, and you got your hand on your hips going, boys, we're going to be here all day.
You get above average play out of Ryan, yes.
Okay. 17 minutes past the hour. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
You're not old enough to remember. This is how young he is. You're not old enough to remember the Jake Long draft, were you? Like as it was happening.
No.
I think it was the 08 draft.
I didn't watch it.
No, I know, but I'm just saying it's 14 years ago. So you were what, 7? That's right around,
8,
literally
7, 8, yeah.
right around usually when most people like have their first sports
draft
memory.
is a little
right. Because the Dolphins had the number 1 pick of the draft.
Yeah.
In Matt Ryan draft, and they took a left tackle,
Mm-hmm.
Jake Long. It was a solid player. Matt Ryan's still playing. Quarterback, by the way. It's an important position in the league.
I know. I don't know.
My wife filling in with what her dad did for her. The blue dye into the orange juice, making green orange juice. Eve said her dad did that for her every St. Patrick's Day. She doesn't talk about her dad a ton, but she always brings that up.
Huh.
I think it just bothers her too much. She was very close with her father.
My first memories of the Miami Dolphins is, we used to be good. We're not good anymore.
Well, don't laugh. The first season, you were too young, but the Cam Cameron year, the 2007 season.
You know, this person does make a good point here. Would they just trade Matty Ice for Deshaun? Would that be part of the trade?
If you're Houston, do you really want?
Do you only have him for one more year, though, to show this Mims kid? I don't know.
I don't think they'd want any part of
I
that.
wouldn't.
I mean, If you're the Texans, you're targeting picks.
What
no?
in the hell is that sweater?
Wow, that's interesting. Those glasses also look like they weigh 50 pounds.
Look at that collar.
It's just a rip, like it's ripped on purpose that he spent a lot of. I love Beverly's response.
Yeah. Man, they've had beef for years.
But I love Beverly just owned him on Twitter.
Yeah.
I just showed David. Did you see his air ball in Towns' face?
Yep.
Did
I did. Towns was like, feeling that breeze from the air ball. Oh,
Deep.
Cash.
Who do I have here? Who is this like Lacrosse, Wisconsin? Who is the team in red?
I don't know.
What are the letters?
It looks like
UIW.
UIW. Oh, Incarnate Word, baby.
What? What is that?
came in with a robust 13-16 record into the game.
A lot of guarantee games there. Incarnate Word's paying for the rest of their sports program with guarantee games, David. They play football too, don't they?
Yes.
Texas?
I thought like Carolina, Virginia area for some reason.
It's in San Antonio, Texas.
Is it?
Yep. Just had to look it up. I didn't know. Ricky Fowler going to the. So.
Going where? Corn Ferry?
No, the Norman tour.
Is he really?
He liked a tweet that went out yesterday. I'm just looking at Chris Murphy paying attention to it.
15 seconds.
So they announced their national series, 8 events, Forest Union venues, $255 in prize money.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
$23 past the hour. Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network. Happy St. Patrick's Day. We were going to have a St. Patrick's Day poll question. We decided against it.
We went with the bracket poll question, although I would imagine that if I put up a corned beef question, it would do much better.
You think we should have had a St. Patrick's Day food poll question? 3 or 4 choices?
I think it's just whether, we got a tweet yesterday that said you mentioned corned beef at the end of the show. Both me and my wife detest corned beef for some reason. Appropriate poll question for tomorrow. Do you, A, love it, B, hate it, or C, meh?
Okay, I came to a conclusion yesterday. If there is a whole week of days out of the year where it is acceptable to get hammered, St. Patrick's Day has to be one of them. True or false?
Of course it's yes.
Okay.
Sure.
That's what you came up with yesterday?
But I came up with the whole week. You got New Year's Day.
No.
What?
Eve.
New Year's Eve.
Day.
Not day.
Not day.
Nobody
Eve.
drinks on New Year's Day.
Right.
Nobody
They're
gets hammered on
hungover.
New Year's. They're hungover.
They watch the Rose
So
Bowl.
your list is already gone. Work on it. Come back to me.
But it's
I have
a quick adjustment,
I'm
though,
gonna
I
give you-
will say.
Okay.
I'm going to give you a little advice again on the air. With something this big, we had a 7-minute commercial break. You had plenty of time to run this by us
Listen,
and make this segment have a little more oomph to it. But, okay, give me your other days.
Okay.
So Eve, all right, St. Patrick's Day, that's 2.
4th of July.
Okay?
All right.
Memorial Day.
No.
No.
Everybody goes to work on Tuesday. It's not a day to get hammered.
But Memorial Day weekend?
It's different.
You just went for
Okay,
Once again.
Okay, the Sunday before Memorial Day.
Okay. Again,
Unbelievable.
thank you for that. Really appreciate.
You know,
Felipe
and here I
Alvarez.
am trying to be on your side. I really am. I'm trying to take your side versus Mark as often as I can because I feel as if he is being a somewhat stern father with you. All right. And so I'm trying to be, you know,
You're trying to be the loving mother?
We're trying to play. Yes. Thank you. We're trying to play. Okay.
You know, I mean, you didn't really have one,
Right.
so trying to be one is a stretch for you.
It's not true. She was loving. It was tough love.
And I mean that with every bit of a compliment, Ms. Moulton.
Right. Of the two of us, I'm the hugger. That's what I'm saying. Okay. So I am trying, okay, to wrap my arms around you and take your side against the stern father figure here. But son, you've got to do better. That's all. All right. Back to the brackets. Listen, I don't know if people want to hear sports talk show hosts go, let's go through this game by game. Let me tell you, we start off with.
Oh, no, I'm not interested in doing any of that. I want to give some point spreads out. I want to give our final four picks out. But I want to make sure people know today when they get ready for the games that they know what's going on. If we have a little something, we've at times, David, been able to give people lots of money. We don't make any for ourselves, but we've done a decent job of letting people know where we think there are some odds.
I will say first game of the day is, I mean, it's 12:15 and it's damn near a pick 'em. So, you know, it's a 6-11 and it's Colorado State, Michigan.
Boy, you fooled me there. You went 12-15. I'm like, 12-15. Oh, it's the start of the game. And I had 12-5 in my head. I'm going, what the hell is he talking about? It's an 11-6 game.
Say, you got to get to the Sweet 16 before you get a 12-15 matchup.
But Michigan is the 1-point favorite. The 11 seed Michigan's a 1-point favorite over Colorado State. Colorado State.
I'm all over Colorado State.
I am as well. I am as well. Both teams have good player, you know, a solid player that many think the other team can't guard. It'll be interesting to watch the big fella for Colorado State against the big fella for Michigan. And that is the very first game of the day. And right into the second game of the day, David, South Dakota State and Providence. We talked about that in the opening hour. South Dakota State, they're a 2-point dog. They're the 13 seed.
Right. In a 4-13 matchup, they're a 2-point dog. That's a lot of money coming in on the Jackrabbits right there. A lot of money.
Which may be one of the most underrated nicknames in collegiate sports. There's no other Jackrabbits out there. There's probably some school that, you know.
Probably some school in the
There's a
Southwest.
D3 or something that has it. But
no, that's solid, the Jackrabbits. When North Dakota State and South Dakota State used to play when they were in the D2 conference together, I mean, it was the Bison against the Jackrabbits. I mean, that's solid.
Right. Could the Bison catch the Jackrabbits? It's
right.
an easy headline to write. We get a first 9-8. Memphis and Boise comes after that. Boise's the 8. They're a 3-point dog.
I usually go 9s over 8s, but I really like a couple of 8s today. I really like Carolina over Marquette in an 8-9.
Funny, I really like Marquette over Carolina.
Okay. I think Carolina's A game really takes Marquette. It beats them by 15, to be honest. So Carolina, 3.5-point favorite.
Baylor, as we mentioned in our poll question today, which one's going to go down first? Look at Baylor's only a 20-point favorite in a 116 game. I mean, those are usually mid to high 20s.
Kansas, 21.5-point favorite in their 116 matchup today.
The Zags are a 23-point favorite in their 116 matchup.
Murray State's 30-2. It's why people are so high on South Dakota State. South Dakota State's won 30 games. Murray State's won 30 games. They are 30-2, yet they are only a 2-point favorite against the Dons of San Francisco.
The Dons who are 24-9, including a 10-6 conference record, but you got to remember this conference put 4 teams in the tournament this year.
I love me some Murray State today.
More so, I'll tell you what, if you want to know where I got the Murray State love from, is we've got a couple of guys in the Twitch chat room who have been pumping Murray State since about November. And they've delivered. Well, we were on the Bonnies early, David.
Right.
The Bonnies failed us.
They did.
Although they did win their first NIT game, for what it's worth.
On the road, too.
Yes. But Murray State just laying 2. I like Murray State. I would lay the 2. I would bet Murray State. I'm with you, David, on this game.
Well, to me, Murray State is the kind of team that can make it to the Sweet 16. I know there are 7, so they got to take down a 2 in the second round, but I think they're that good. I mean, the problem
is they're playing Kentucky.
I understand, but correct me if I'm wrong. Murray State's from where?
Tennessee school, aren't they?
I thought they were from Kentucky.
Are they Kentucky? Thought they were North. You may be right.
Could be wrong. I'm wrong a lot.
No, you're Maury, Kentucky. You're right.
Right. See, once again, Davidson the 10. If they can beat Michigan State, who do they get to play? Duke. Who won't Duke schedule? Davidson. Who won't Kentucky schedule? Now, it's tough. There's a lot of D1 schools in Kentucky, and they all want to play Kentucky. And goodness knows, I'm not saying that John Cal is ducking Murray State. But, push comes to shove, they'd rather not play Western Kentucky and Murray State. And so normally they don't.
Right.
This is a really good Murray State team, and they may get Kentucky in the second round. The team that all those guys wanted to play for. So that's all. Love when the committee does little things like that.
I will say this, in the 5-12, first 5-12 matchup of the day, which is Richmond and Iowa, I think Iowa will win the game. Give me the 10.5 in Richmond all day long. That's a lot of points against a hot basketball team.
On a neutral court. And to further our point about 413s, now we think the UCLA-Akron 413, that Akron's going to get whooped.
And that's a 13.5-point spread for what it's worth. So does Vegas.
But we just pointed out how South Dakota State is a 13, is just a 2-point dog against Providence. Vermont's just a 5-point dog against Arkansas.
And if Arkansas gets through this game, Arkansas is going to play Gonzaga in a Sweet 16 game. I'm telling you that right now. And they could beat Gonzaga. They're that good. But they could lose today.
And we have folks in the Twitch chat room going, don't sell Akron short. I will, because they're not the best team in the MAC. They won the MAC tournament because Kent State had 4 guys suspended for bad behavior after winning in the semifinals. Kent State was the best team in the MAC. If Kent State was playing UCLA, I think it's a game.
And if Kent State were in, they'd be a 12, not a 13 that Akron is. That's the other side of this.
And just like Tennessee's a really good 3, UCLA's a really good 4.
And Tennessee's a really good 3. You can see that. They're an 18-point favorite against Longwood today.
Well, I mean, just how long is Longwood? Miller and Moulton.
I don't know. How big are their hands?
And their feet. Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
You know, Spitz, you're not alone with UCLA in the Final Four.
I have them going to the Elite Eight.
I'm constructing a Miller and Moulton bracket. It'll be one out of many. Just to see how it does.
Wisconsin's only an 8-point favorite against Colgate tomorrow.
I told Andy anything less than the Elite Eight will be very disappointing. He goes, really? No pressure there. I also told them, I said, just tough love.
Well, that's how you were raised, David.
Yep.
I just did it. Gonzaga will beat Tennessee for the national championship.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. Wow.
I have a 1, a 2, and 2 threes in the Final Four.
A 1 and a 2. Thank you, Dandy.
They're greener than that. I just want everybody to know I'm a little upset about the camera settings.
Well, Spitz, how could you be high on the Pac-12? They only have 3 teams in the field, and you got one of them losing in round 1. Yeah, I like USC against Miami. Spread's like 1.5 too.
They didn't, Klecko.
Yeah, that's just.
They didn't. Guy won 21 games, did a really good job, but his boss didn't want him to be the coach anymore.
Actually, Klecko, don't sleep on Shaka Smart. Yeah, hasn't been tournament tough in a while. Was tournament tough at VCU.
I was going to say, wasn't he tournament tough at VCU?
Yeah, not tournament tough at Texas. Remember, lost to Abilene last year.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, Johnny Mac, you are right. If Adam shows up today, he thinks we're going to be all pro Jags with these shirts. Because, this shirt is as green as my shirt's damn near as green as the ticker that's running on the bottom.
Yeah.
And it looks teal.
It does.
10 seconds.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
"20 minutes before the hour, Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. Thanks so much for being with us. Andy Baskin, top of the hour. We go to Cleveland. Apparently moving on from Baker Mayfield in the Deshaun Watson sweepstakes. Where do the Browns go from here? John Fanta in a little less than an hour. We'll get his tournament picks, his sleepers, his energy, his excitement. Remember, he's done. All those Fox College broadcasters, they're done. Brando, Fanta, Gus, they're all chomping at the bit.
We might be able to get a little luck with Fanta then through the tournament. He's been pretty good to us. He's more of a star than he was even a year ago. He is a rising star in the business,
right.
And make no mistake, very good at what he does. But we jumped him early.
We did. We were on that train early.
We've been on a lot of trains early and have been thrown off the tracks, David. I hope with John, he'll stick with us through this, at least with this.
And we head to Jacksonville in 40 minutes. JP Shadrick. The Jags have spent money like the proverbial drunken sailors, Mark. We'll ask JP whether or not you think it was money well spent or it was just money spent.
David, my Final Four, when you add up my Final Four seedings, it equals 9. That is way high for me. Usually it's somewhere around 6, 5.
Wait, so at 9, huh? So does that mean, you've got to have a 3 or a 4 then?
2 3s, a 1, and a 2.
Ooh, 2 3s.
2 3s, a 1, and a 2.
Huh. I'm trying to think of the 3s off the top of my head. So you're riding Tennessee?
Uh-huh.
Really?
The team that should have been a 2.
I agree with that.
And I'm riding Bucky Badger.
I'll say this. I thought they were 2 weeks ago. I thought they had a real shot at a 1.
I think both of those teams are underseeded. And I think Wisconsin's probably right where they deserve. But you mentioned North Carolina, and you say, hey, their A game is
It's good.
really good.
Yeah, it's better than an 8.
Right. And Wisconsin's A game's a 1.
I agree with that. I think right now, because, Baylor has a key injury, right? Wisconsin's A game, Baylor's A game. I would take Wisconsin.
And I was leery because Wisconsin will have to beat Villanova. And I love Villanova, particularly in the tournament. But
that's a Sweet 16er, right? That's a 2-3.
That's a 2-3. But my surprise, my Elite Eight, I have Tennessee beating Illinois. I think Illinois is going to take Arizona out.
Look at you. Look at you.
I think Wisconsin will take Kansas out. I think Kentucky will take UCLA out.
That is the bracket that I am most confident in, by the way, that it will be Kentucky against UCLA in the Elite Eight.
Because to your point, if you're right about North Carolina and they get through Marquette, North Carolina could give Baylor, both Marquette and Baylor could beat, or both Marquette and North Carolina could beat Baylor. I've watched Marquette beat good teams this year. They can play.
Now, I will say, if it was the Baylor team of 2 weeks ago, I'd be singing a different tune, but lost the starter to injury. They're not quite as good. I think they're vulnerable.
And my only 1-2, I have Gonzaga beating Duke, and I have the Zags beating Kentucky. I have Tennessee beating Wisconsin, and the Zags will beat the Vols, and Gonzaga will will cut the nets.
You have Tennessee playing for the national championship in a sport that is not softball or women's basketball.
Correct.
That's a BFD in Knoxville, baby, if that were to happen. Wow. You do know Rick Barnes is the head coach of Tennessee.
I do.
All right. He's got a little bit of Fran McCaffrey in him when it comes to the tournament. They have a tendency to underachieve.
All right. I can do one or two things. I can go according to chalk and get abused by you.
No.
Or I can
I'm
make
just
a couple
pointing
of bold
out.
picks.
And I understand for you, a
A 3 seed's not.
If you had a middle name, you know what it would be?
Chalk.
Thank you. You're the most chalk person I know.
When it comes to this thing,
You
absolutely.
I'm just, because I know when you get to the second week, you've got all the 1s, 2s, 3s, and 4s for the most. I'm just curious. Did you take a flyer on anybody? Do you have any double-digit seed in the Sweet 16? Because there's almost always one.
No, I don't.
Get all incredulous.
No.
Come on.
I don't know. See, here's the problem. I don't see where it comes from because part of the team, I could see Murray State making a run, but I can't see him beating Kentucky.
I understand.
David, North Carolina, I think Marquette's going to beat North Carolina. I think either of those teams could beat Baylor. I'm going to go chalky there and take the 1 over the 9. I know it's crazy.
Well, but also technically they're not a double-digit seed, but I know what you're saying.
I just don't see it. And I don't have enough love for one of these double-digit seeds to have them win in a few games. I could see Vermont. I loved Vermont. They're playing Arkansas. You and I have been on Arkansas since December, David.
Could Virginia Tech is in 11. They get Texas in the first round. I am going to ride the Hokies big in that one.
I am as well. I'll tell you what, you want to give me a double-digit seed, San Diego or South Dakota State. They could make the Sweet 16. They beat Providence, they can beat Iowa. Because that's another school, David, you know this. If South Dakota State's playing Iowa, how many kids wanted to go to Iowa on that South Dakota State team?
A decent number. Wanted
And
to play in the Big
overlooked,
Ten.
or wanted to play in the
Right.
Big Ten. So that to me is a spot where I could see a double digit. You've been big on USC. Felipe over there is big on the Canes. We're all wondering about Auburn. If Miami wins, they could be a Sweet 16 team.
Well, I think the winner of USC Miami is going to beat Auburn. Speaking of which, did you hear about Auburn's travel? I don't know if you want to call it nightmare, but so anyway, their charter flight broke down and they could not all travel together. And I think they're going to Greenville. So, I mean, it's not the furthest trip in the world. And I'm trying to remember, did they get on 3 different planes like many hours later, or did they get on buses? But they got to Greenville late last night. I know that. It was not a smooth travel day for Auburn. Now, did they ever get a plane for who was that team? Wasn't Colorado State, was it?
I thought it was Colorado State that didn't even have their itinerary yet, and it was like 48 hours before the game.
Right. Yesterday morning, they're like, yeah, the NCAA hasn't let us know when we're leaving. They haven't set a plane for us. We should be leaving like after breakfast, and we got nothing. Which, when you think about it, that's about all the NCAA is. They're basically event planners at this point. I mean, that's what they are. They're event planners.
100%.
How could they be getting this stuff wrong? I know it's a lot of details.
NIL, what did they do for that?
Nothing.
Kick the can down the road, let the government handle it.
Nothing.
NCAA football. I guess the transfer portal, did that come out of the NCAA?
No. They basically said, you guys figure it out.
I mean, what do they do?
What, they're event planners.
And they're planning a great event that tips at 12:15 today. By the way, Notre Dame's a team that could sneak into the Sweet 16. We all know Alabama's as Jekyll and Hyde as a team as there is in the country.
Well, UCLA went from escaping in the first 4 last year all the way to the Final 4. It's been done a few times here in the last 10 years. First 4 to Final 4.
And usually the double-digit seed that gets in is because both a 13 and a 12 win. I mean, How many times have we had that?
I love when that happens. I know they get smoked in the Sweet 16 by a 1, but I don't care.
Neither do I. And neither do they, David, because they get to go back to campus for a week after winning 2 games. So, Vermont, New Mexico State are the 12-13. Indiana, Akron. We don't like Akron at all. UAB and Chattanooga. Chattanooga's an interesting team. They're going to give Illinois a game.
I think UAB's beating Houston. That could be your 12 against the 13 right there. UAB beats Houston, Chattanooga beats Illinois. Which I know is saying, I mean, Houston was the best team in their conference all year, and Illinois shared the regular season Big Ten title. So we're asking a lot of these 12 and 13s, but I'm just saying.
Could it be South Dakota State and Richmond?
It is tough to carry it over from your conference tournament when you were not expected to win your conference tournament. And you go on a 4-game run in particular and win. It oftentimes does not carry over. That's why when UConn 10 or so years ago, when they rattled off the, 11 in a row or whatever it was, I mean, that stuff just doesn't happen. It usually
why they did a 30 for 30 on NC State.
Right.
So you gonna give us your
No, I haven't done it yet. I'm sorry. I'll do it by the end of the show. I'm sorry. I have Kentucky winning it all. That's my team. I picked them out 3 weeks ago. I said, this is the team that I think has the most versatility of the top 10 teams in the country. I think they can win on a bad day, and they can get through the game that they need to get through. I like the fact they can play with 2 point guards if they need to get through a tough time.
So you have a 2 winning it, nothing else for us.
That's about all I got right now.
You know the tournament does start in a couple hours.
It takes 10 minutes to do a bracket. It really does. I'm still like that big piece of bread soaking up the gravy, man. That's it.
Stick around for the bonus hour today where you get David Moulton's Final Four, because next hour is jam-packed.
Right. It's done. Andy Baskin, we're going to Cleveland. Who's the quarterback? And we're going to Jacksonville.
And then who's the plan B quarterback?
Right.
And then who's the plan C quarterback?
Then Jacksonville, we know who the quarterback is.
How much more money are the Jags going to spend, and who are they going to spend it on?
And then John Fanta, we'll get his picks. Goodness knows he's thought about it. And then we'll go to Houston, find out whether or not the quarterback's still there.
That'll start the bonus hour out for those of you that are not in the 239. And then after we go to Houston, David Moulton will give us his Final Four.
I guess. I mean, you know, I get made fun of my picks so often. It's not like people are going to bet them.
No, but they need to know what to bet against.
Jeez. Oh.
I mean, my bracket's going to finish in the bottom third. You either have to have a bracket that wins or finishes close to last.
But see, you pick so much chalk. I have a hard time imagining that your brackets do any worse than middle of the pack. I'm the one that oftentimes is top 5, bottom 5. Because I usually go nuts.
It's what we're waiting for.
And it's just a matter of, am I going to pick one region and just go bat blank crazy in that region, which I've done in the past, and either you hit it big or you get all your picks wrong? Or am I trying to pick upsets everywhere?
It's why the 4 or 5 bracket works, because then you can have one, just pick chaos in each time.
I was talking to a buddy of mine earlier in the week. He filled out 3 brackets while I was talking to him. He asked me about the same game twice. I said, well, I picked so-and-so the first time. He goes, yeah, that's why I'm going the other way now. Oh, great. You're one of those.
Well, don't you have to do that? When you're filling out multiple brackets, you got to be switching those 8 and 9s and 7 and 10s.
This might be the only thing that I have ever universally agreed with Mike Golick on. I am a sheet of integrity guy. One sheet. These are my picks.
And I believe you have one sheet that's your main sheet, but you can have as many extras as you want. Because I'd only have one that would go up against you.
Miller and Moulton. Andy Baskin from Cleveland. We don't have a lot of time with Andy. We're going to get right to it. Next.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Yeah, Johnny Mac, Billy's been dozing off since before the show. It's a rough one today.
Bam, I used to drink Red Bull like when I first started working here, but it is so bad for you.
Yes, it is.
It's horrible. So I stopped. And then I started drinking coffee, but I haven't drinking coffee I haven't been drinking my coffee recently. Because let's just say it's kind of like a detonator. So I'll leave it at that. Hey, one of these commercial breaks, we got to record the promo for tomorrow. Since we got to get out of here right after the show.
What?
That during one of these commercial breaks, we got to record the promo for tomorrow.
Got it.
Since we got to get out of here right after.
Right. We are allowed to stay through the show, though, right?
Do you want to record a promo right now?
I'm not saying right now, like just during one of the commercial breaks.
I can't hear. What's he saying?
During the next two commercial breaks.
Okay.
One of them will do it.
All right.
Just at some point.
No problem. We will be starting Monday. Wow. Audience has grown.
And he's on hold. We're back in 20.
I got to work. I was going to try to get that bet in.
God, Russell Wilson is a Broncos. Weird. But I like it.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. Now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
The beginning of what is the final hour of Miller and Moulton in Lake City and surrounding areas, Tampa, St. Pete, Port Charlotte, and Venice. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. Thanks so much for being with us. Just halfway home, if you are in the 239. We head to Cleveland. Andy Baskin, 92.3 The Fan in Cleveland, is kind enough to join us. Follow Andy on Twitter at Andy_Baskin. Andy, it's David and Mark once again. Hope you and the family are well. How are you?
Oh, we are good. You have your own network? Man, I never realized. I just thought it was just three guys talking when we started talking on the air. Now you guys are like huge. You have your own network. That's amazing.
It really is, Andy, to us too.
Andy, I have to admit, it is a surprise, almost shocked tone in your voice. I mean, it really is. Like, you schleps have more than one station carrying this godforsaken show?
Reminds me when I was in Montana, Missoula, Montana, doing Lady Grizz basketball, and we picked up an affiliate at a tiny little town that had 100 people in it, but we had two, and it suddenly went from just one, the Lady Grizz basketball station, to the Lady Grizz basketball network.
Big Andy. We know. Hey, there's a really bad song from the 70s that says breaking up is hard to do. It doesn't seem like it's that hard to do in Cleveland. Is this divorce final, no matter what happens?
Man, it feels that way, but I don't know. There's still a tinge of Baker could be back because Baker might not have any options, and the Browns may not have any options. That's the hard part about it. He's still under contract for another year. I mean, if he had a great year and Baker was, still torn or mad or upset at the front office, they could franchise him for 2 more years if something suddenly changed over the next couple of years. It feels like it's over, but you never say never. A lot of times a lot of couples get back together after a big fight.
Andy, what is plan B if it's not Deshaun? I mean, I don't think Baker writes that pathetic letter unless he and his agent have talked and his agent has basically said, yeah, we're pretty much done in Cleveland.
So I think, and from what I was told, and so I talked to a couple of people about it, Baker was not happy about the fact that they had talked at the combine and the Browns had told him, he was the guy for next year. And, if they wanted to talk to Deshaun Watson, no big deal. And by the way, the Browns don't owe him anything other than the paycheck that they've agreed to pay him. But I think he was upset because, in other situations, Atlanta, the quarterback was told that they were going to try to talk to Deshaun Watson. Here, that's not the story. And so I think he was upset about the fact that he just didn't get a courtesy call saying, hey, we need to go put our foot in the water on this Deshaun Watson situation. And I mean, they just told him that he was the guy, but who knows? Everybody lies in these situations. And it's a really, really weird place to be right now in Cleveland. Because, I will say this, though, we're great at drama. So if they handed out Lombardis for drama, Cleveland and the quarterback situation and head coaches and general managers, I mean, we would be multi Lombardi winners if that was the case.
Who do you think Cleveland would want if it's not Deshaun and Baker? I mean, if it's not Deshaun, would they want Baker? Would they want to, if he ends up in Atlanta, do you think Cleveland would want to trade for a Matt Ryan? I mean, is there, when you start getting past that, it's the Jameis Winstons of the world. So who's the pick?
I think you hit it. I mean, because I don't think Vegas is doing a trade. I don't think Carr's going anywhere. And if I had my druthers and it wasn't those, I'd love for Carr to come to Cleveland. But again, you got to give up something for that. Doesn't feel like there's a plan B, and I think that's why Browns fans are like, "What are we doing here?" Once you got on that plane to go to Houston to talk to Deshaun, you basically said, "Hey, we need a new quarterback." Because I don't have a whole lot of faith Watson's coming to Cleveland.
Well, nor should you. I mean, it's the NFC South ganging up on the Browns right now. You got to figure someone in the NFC South is going to win. We're talking Cleveland's quarterback situation with Andy Baskin, 92.3 The Fan in Cleveland. Follow him on Twitter at Andy_Baskin. All right. Why did they let Jarvis Landry go and they couldn't even get a draft pick for him? And was it necessary to send J.C. Treader packing?
$16 million. This is all. I mean, Landry, I think they would have loved to have reworked his deal. Jarvis was a game changer here. When he came up from Miami, he said, "Why not?" to a team that was 1-15 and 0-16, and said, "Maybe now is the time that we need to believe that Cleveland can change this. It doesn't take that long in the NFL to take a losing team and become a winning team. Look at the Bengals, So, he brought an energy, and there was just something about Jarvis that was different we had seen, in the past few years of guys that actually believed in the franchise and believed in what they were trying to do and believed, why not us? And to let him go, it kind of sucks, but it's also football. I think that's the problem, is that it was $16 million, and Jarvis, as much as I love Jarvis, who's probably one of my favorite players over the last couple of years, he just wasn't worth $16 million. That's why you couldn't trade him. And so that's where they landed with Jarvis. And so they just, it's cap casualty. It's all like that. J.C. Treader, I think they think that Nick Harris is ready, guy they drafted to play center, and that's why they went with it. They're going to miss J.C. Treader next year, though. And, they had so many offensive line problems last year with Jed Wills getting hurt and Jack Conklin getting hurt and trying to figure out who was going to start here or there. If they would have had all 5 guys healthy for every game, I still think they make the playoffs, even with a banged-up Baker Mayfield.
All right, Andy, we've had you on for years now. We've never had to mention the Bengals at any point when talking about the Browns. It's the Steelers and the Ravens. And now here come the Bengals. I'm just curious, how much more to the drama that you've talked about the Lombardis that Cleveland wins so often, how much has the Cincinnati factor angered the Cleveland fan and the Cleveland fan base?
It was kind of weird. Like, Browns fans, I think maybe 40% of them here were actually rooting for the Bengals in the Super Bowl. I don't know why. I mean, Cincinnati fans are never rooting for Cleveland. I can tell you that.
Ever.
Ever. No, it's same as Pittsburgh. It's a weird dynamic because no one thought Cincinnati was going to be there. I mean, you talk about just right time, right place, and just being able to pick up a couple of huge wins against Kansas City late in the season. They end up in the Super Bowl, and Cleveland fans just don't like Cincinnati. Just kind of still doesn't exist. Although they beefed up their offensive line, which is exactly what they needed to do. And I think Cincinnati is a team to reckon. I don't know what Baltimore is going to look like next year. We sure don't know. And the other weird thing, like this whole Mitch Trubisky thing, the Pittsburgh thing, is bizarre because Mitch is from Cleveland, and he was like local legend at Menor High School here in Northeast Ohio. And so now all of a sudden, I think you're going to be driving through the far east side of Cleveland where Menor is, and you're going to start seeing more Steeler fans than you've ever seen before. And it's really weird with Trubisky going there to be the starting quarterback. Because there were fans that wanted him to be here, too.
Would there be any fallout if the Browns win the Deshaun Watson sweepstakes about what he's gone through in the last year, or really what he's put himself through, or no?
Yeah, I think there'll be limited fallout. I don't think it'll be gigantic. Maybe it should be gigantic, but I just don't think that's the way it's going to play here in Cleveland. I think if Deshaun Watson can come here and play quarterback and win, it becomes stories like Ben Roethlisberger or Jerry Jones, or it becomes those kind of stories that just kind of work their way back into the fabric of someone's character, where you're sitting around and you want to joke around about. Well, it's no joke, but it's just if you want to. Fan to fan, where you're trying to beat down the other team and you're talking like that. But I just think it weaves itself into the fabric of, who he is and, is it worth it? I do think that there are some question marks. Dee Haslam, one of the owners of the Browns, is all about, rehab and giving guys a second chance, but she's also on these boards that talk about domestic violence, talk about, making sure these guys are doing the right thing at the right time. So, we've had, Kareem Hunt is a guy that went through some character things and came here and, kind of cleaned his life up coming back home, another Cleveland guy. So I inherently believe people want to give people a second chance. So I think that's part of it, but I don't think it'll be as big here. It's like I was hearing some stuff out of Carolina that sounded like it would be a lot bigger if he went there.
We know you have to go. I just want you to ponder this for the rest of the day. What is more shocking, the Cavs are good without LeBron, or Miller and Moulton are part of a network? Just ponder it.
Oh, well, you two, after talking to you guys for more than a decade, you are clearly worthy of your own network. I mean, worldwide. It's not intergalactic.
I
think I'm ready.
Boy.
I'm
Unbelievable.
ready for that. So
You opened yourself up for that, Moulton. You opened yourself up for that with that question.
I did.
Well played,
Yes,
Andy.
I did. All right. Listen, why don't you move to afternoons? I hear there's an opening coming up.
Man, that didn't take long for news to spread.
No, it
that
did
didn't
not.
take long at all.
All right, Andy. Have a great
Thanks,
show.
Andy.
Take care, guys. We'll talk to you soon.
Andy Baskin, middays 92.3 The Fan in Cleveland. Yeah, they have a kick, afternoon drive show called Bull and Fox, and Bull is leaving, and that happened suddenly. And they've been together like 11 years. So that's why I threw that little.
I don't need to read anything to this, do I?
Well, no, it's just potentially there's an opening, is what I'm saying. But that was my jab in there. More than a jab. That was a little bit of a straight right. Andy Baskin.
We'll go from the grease fire that is Cleveland to the drunken sailors that are the Jacksonville Jags. They're at least spending like them. JP Shadrick's next. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Rick Scott made a bracket and had Miami winning it all.
Oh.
I think if Miami went to the Final Four, I'd.
Well, if this Miami team went to the Final Four, I think you'd be speechless.
Miller Moulton, I can't come to work. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Erin wants to stay at Fox. Her contract's up, but Erin wants to stay at Fox. I think she's going to give the network a little bit of time to see what it is they're putting together with their broadcast team.
Who is Monday Night Football's Aaron Andrews?
Lisa Salters.
Yes, that's right. She's really good, though.
And she's under contract, and she's part of the team.
Yes.
But what would be interesting is that if Aaron became available, would they also add Aaron? Like Lisa's the only sideline person. Like some networks will put one person on each sideline.
The bomb threat made it to Bonita Springs Publix yesterday.
Hops, is that so you can never tell one from the other? So, or you want us to do a promo right now?
Yeah, we can cut it right now.
Or do you want to do it next? It's one or the other. It's either we do it now or we've got to be ready to go and we do it the next commercial break.
Or let's do it at the end.
So after John Fanta. So you want to do it at 8:55?
Yes.
Okay.
Oh, I know why. Because I know what you're going to do. You're going to finish the recording.
Correct.
Start a new one. I got you. That works. Okay. Everybody remember, I don't mean just you, Philly. I mean me.
I do like the green Chiron.
Oh, I mean, it is St. Patrick's Day after all.
Oh, I'm just saying I like it. So Zazarius Smith with the Ravens. See, in the old defense, he'd be a great fit. Curious what their new style is going to be. We're not watching, Spitz.
Ngaku, I thought was already. You said they were looking. I thought they traded him. By the way, when you said that for Jan Sin, that was what I've got, the cornerback from the Colts.
Gotcha.
Not that it matters. Just when you said
What's the furthest in the tournament the women have made it?
Second round.
FGCU?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they've made it to the second
Should have
round
made it to the
twice.
Sweet 16 that year, the first year they were in it. They had St. Bonaventure dead to rights.
Bonnies.
They were the 12, and they were in a soft pod in Tallahassee. And before they came out and played, the 13 seed had knocked off Georgia, the 4. So Bonaventure and FGCU ran onto that court, and both teams were like, well, the winner of this game is going to the Sweet 16. And FGCU was up 10 with under 5 to play in regulation and lost in overtime.
And it's Semesco's the only thing I could criticize the man for in all of his coaching years. He put his best player on the bench and didn't put her back. And I was screaming at the television. He's doing the game. I'm texting him. I'm so mad.
Damn. That sucks. Should probably make this phone call. Oh, no, I don't have to. Oh, yeah, I do.
Yes, you do.
Yes, I do.
The irony is that if they had won that game, Semesco would have been gone very quickly.
Yes.
That's the irony of it.
That's a great point.
No, he would have been. Absolutely. In fact, he might have been gone the next week. Indiana,
right?
He finished second or third for Oregon State. There's no doubt in my mind they go to Sweet 16. He's gone.
And now he'll never.
10 seconds.
And now it'll be hard.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
From one network to another, Mark. From the Florida Sports Network to the Jaguars Radio Network. JP Shadrick, kind enough to join us. You can follow JP on Twitter at JP Shadrick. Happy St. Patrick's Day to you, you fine lad.
Yeah, top of the morning to you. It's great to be back with you guys again, as always. And yes, happy St. Patrick's Day, happy March Madness, happy New Year in the NFL world. We're a day into the new season, so here we are.
I know we've only, the day's just started. Have the Jags signed another 6-7 players this morning so far, JP? It's hard to keep track of, man. They're going after it right now.
Well, I just walked into the stadium literally 5 minutes ago, and nothing's happened yet. But I think they're waiting. The day is early. They're waiting outside, though, because the guys that did agree to terms, I think a number of them are coming in today to actually sign, do the tour, do the media conference, the whole thing. So there's a group outside, a couple camera folks and social media people waiting on the arrival, and all that's happening today. So the big dog and pony shows today, all the big money and the reports and all that, I think, were the last couple days. And, they'll do some little things, I think, moving ahead. But in terms of the big splash stuff, I think all that's pretty much done.
Why'd they get rid of Miles Jack?
To save about $8.5 million. And I think in general, it was this general manager, this coach, well, they didn't draft him. They didn't re-sign him. Maybe they want to kind of make their own mark a little bit. You could argue, Miles had some knee issues that we knew coming out in the draft, right? That was the big talk. That's why he slid to the second round when he did back in 2016. And then there was some other things, I think, with the other knee last year. He played a little big at times from year to year. They couldn't really find a true role for him in the different iterations of the defense over the season. They kept moving around the thing. In the last 2 years, it was, is he going to wear the green dot and call plays, or is he not? Sometimes he would, sometimes he wouldn't. There was some confusion. He played better without it, but then they put it back on him, and it was just a lot of moving around. I think Miles is still a good football player. He's still young. He's 26 years old. But I think just in the rebuild of the organization, the culture around it, I think they just kind of wanted to make a change. Like buying a new house, right? Okay, you don't have to tear the whole house down, but maybe you're going to change the drapes a little bit, right? You're going to put some new carpet in. Like, okay, I think that's what they're trying to do on the defensive side of the ball, bringing in a new linebacker. They still got to get another one at some point, or feel like they maybe have somebody to develop in another role at linebacker. But I think that's the big reason why. That, and $8.5 million they can go spend on something else.
All right. If you were running the show instead of just talking about the show, would you be going tackle or edge rusher with the number 1 pick based on what's happened so far in free agency?
Well, edge rusher, and here's why. I mean, yesterday, Trent Baalke, Jaguars general manager, and the head coach, Doug Peterson, spoke with the media in an on-the-record session right at 4 o'clock as free agency started and said they're working on an extension with Cam Robinson, the franchise-tagged left tackle that's been here for a long time now, since 2017. So it would be the second franchise tag for him if he signs a tender at $16.5 million, but they're working on an extension for him as the left tackle. So they've got Walker Little here as well. Jawan Taylor's the right tackle. Okay, that's fine. They just signed a guard. So I think it's edge rusher. I think it's all pointing to that right now because they're solidifying the line in other ways. They don't have to make that pick unless he's just 10 million times better in their grading than Aiden Hutchinson. I think it's Hutchinson right now if you ask me on St. Patrick's Day.
Talking Jags, JP Shadrick, Jaguars Radio Network. Follow him on Twitter at JP Shadrick. Listen, they've signed a bunch of guys. They've spent a lot of money. They had a ton of money that they could spend. My only concern is I think they've overpaid for a few guys. From what you're hearing, are they being forced to overpay because of the losing and the culture that's been criticized throughout the league? That, listen, until Peterson and Baalke establish whatever their culture is going to be, they're going to have to just buy some guys to come play for them before they get players who really want to play for them.
You know when that happened before, Dave? 2016 and 2017.
Right.
When this team was in full rebuild mode. 2016 free agency was an incredible class for this Jaguars team. They had Tashawn Gibson, starting safety. Malik Jackson was paid $90 million to come here after a Super Bowl run with Denver. And then 2017, it was Calais Campbell. Had to pay him a bunch of money to come in here. And a couple other guys that contributed on that defense. Barry Church, right? Safety. They built a defense with a free agent class that they overpaid for. That's fine. And they supplemented with the draft around it. But at the end of the day, all those guys are now gone, right? I mean, the draft picks didn't want to stay for some reason to figure out the reason on whatever player you're talking about. And then it became too expensive to keep the free agents around. And then it dismantled and collapsed and all hell broke loose around here, right? That's the last time that happened. So yes, to answer your question, that's the nature of free agency. I think it's anywhere. Here, maybe a little bit more because of it's a new culture. Hey, we got to get people down here. They lost a lot of games. Okay, but that's what happens when you lose. You've got to try to pay to get back in the game, and then over time, wean yourself off of this big free agent stuff as much as you can. Draft, develop, re-sign your own guys. That's the ticket to success. But that's not something this organization has been able to do consistently over the last 15 years. And I saw a stat yesterday, like the last 10 years, since 2012, the Jags have spent like $1.3 billion with a B dollars in free agency or something. And of course, in that time frame, they by far have the worst record in the NFL. Well, when you play in free agency, you pay in free agency, and you pay in a lot of different ways, not just financially, but in terms of keeping guys around, a culture, and everything that goes with that. And it just hasn't been the right setup here, but you've got to make a splash. And they did that. They were going to spend a cap. Coach wanted to do it. The organization wants to do it. It's time to – the money's there. Go spend it. Try to get the football team better as best you can right now.
Is Kirk going to still be in the slot? And if so, don't you think that's I think where David was going. That's a lot of money for a slot receiver at $18 million per when Chark left for 10. It just seemed like that was a pretty big gap in guys that are reasonably similar.
Well, I think just hearing them talk yesterday after 4 o'clock when the league year started, it sounds like, yes, he's played a lot of slot, but they're going to move guys around. I don't think they're done at wide receiver. I think they're going to go after that in the draft as well. I mean, they got a couple guys in free agency yesterday, of course, and Kirk and Zay Jones to go with that. They got Marvin Jones still on contract, veteran guy. So they're going to move some guys around, do some different things with that. Evan Ingram, they think, can kind of line up outside a little, not outside, but in the slot some, not just an off tackle tight end right on the hip there. He can kind of move and do some things on the offense, they think. So they've got some options with Kirk. I'm interested to see it as well. What is this thing really going to look like with Kirk running around out there? Because he, let's be honest, I don't think he's had a 1,000-yard season. But hey, they believe in what his skill set looked like on tape in this offense, or their idea of this offense. So that's one. Hey, you got to go make the splash, pay the money for a guy you really believe in, and obviously they really believe in him if they're giving him $37 million guaranteed.
JP, does it feel like Peterson is the one driving the personnel decisions and Balky is carrying them out, or that Peterson is having solid input, but Trent Balky's driving the train?
See, now you're just looking for headlines, Dave.
No, I'm not. I'm asking. Because we've seen it. Like, we just found out in Miami that Chris Greer kind of let Flores run over him with a lot of personnel decisions, that he was trying to appease his coach to the point where the coach was really driving personnel decisions until finally Greer said, I want Tua. All right, that's kind of where he drew the line in the sand. And so if I'm a Jags fan, I'm kind of curious here. Is Peterson just having a good, solid say, and then Balky's doing what he's doing? Or is Peterson pounding his fist on the table saying, we got to do this, and Balky's trying to follow his wishes as much as possible?
I'll say this, Dave. It's their first go-around together. So everything we've heard and seen so far, it has been a true collaborative process, right? You can believe that or not. I don't know. But, hey, and I believe that because they're 2 months into the thing. They just hired Doug,
right?
In February, or Super Bowl or whatever it was, Senior Bowl week. So it's too early to start pounding fists on the table and trying to jockey for position and all that. They're just getting started. So I think right now it's been a true collaborative process that the coaching staff's in. They're working with the scouting staff and the personnel staff that's been here to figure out what these guys want in an organization and in a personnel and in a scheme and all that. And I think they went out and targeted a handful of guys in free agency they really thought could fit some of those spots, and they went and paid for them. So I don't think there's any, at least right now, I don't think there's anybody's, trying to jockey for the lead spot or anything like that. I understand where you're going and where it has been like that in the past, sometimes around here too, and everywhere. That happens a lot of places, but I think it's just too early for a lot of that here in Jacksonville. I think it's pretty collaborative so far.
Well, and I would be thrilled as a Jags fan if that's truly the thing, because, let's face it, there was a lot of noise about Trent Baalke.
Oh, yeah.
And so, I want to know, so is this a GM that's really on solid ground and both of them, therefore, are going to work together for a few years? Or did Trent Baalke just basically survive and he's keeping the seat warm for who Doug Peterson really wants a year from now? As a fan, I want stability. I want this franchise to be solid again. That's why I asked that question, not to be a blankety blank.
And besides, JP, there's no banging on the table until year 2. We all know that. We're smart enough to get that. There shouldn't be banging on the table till year 2.
Right. I mean, play some games. Like if they're 0-5, then that changes the whole dynamic, right? I mean, you start losing football games,
right?
Then that's when the bullets start flying.
Right. So. It was a collaborative process until they lost in Cincinnati, and then all hell broke loose. Right.
That's about right. Yeah.
JP
right.
Shadrick, Jaguars Radio Network. He's going to be cutting out of work around noon today, getting hammered, watching basketball.
No, I got an appointment. I got to go. I got things to do.
No,
I got somebody coming for an appointment thing. So,
bad scheduling, JP.
Please give me a break. And besides, your basketball team's in the tournament. What are you doing? All right, JP, we got to go.
Enjoy it. See you guys.
JP Shadrick, Jaguars Radio Network. Miller and Moulton. Listen, you think we're enthusiastic? Ha! John Fanta's next. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
The double Windsor. I learned it so I could.
Yeah, never learned it.
YouTube's a wonderful thing for that crap.
Is it?
So I learned how to do the bow tie. It's how I learned how to do that. I could probably, it's been so long since I've worn a tie. I wonder if I could pull off a double Windsor right now. Yeah. Yeah, I can do it. You probably did the bow tie for your senior picture, didn't you?
No.
Bow ties were, my kid did. Bow ties were huge.
I did bow ties for prom. Come on now.
Okay.
Not the senior picture though. My tie had flowers in my senior picture. It's clean.
And my kid looks like he's got a tux on with the bow tie. He's got a dark suit and a bow tie. Where do you go?
Cypress Pharmacy.
Oh, it's not a, it's just a, I dumped Walgreens for Publix. Publix is so much nicer.
Is it?
They're just nicer. Walgreens people are angry all the time. And I don't blame them. There's always a line. I don't necessarily think it's them because they just get bullied. Publix, they're just nicer.
You used to do your groceries at Walgreens?
No. My prescriptions.
Oh, okay.
You'll get old. You'll have them. Don't just shut up over there.
Wait, but Publix does like prescriptions like
Yes.
that? I did not know that. Billy went as duck. I don't get that reference.
I don't either.
Yeah.
Sorry there. I didn't answer during that last interview to some of the questions that were asked of me because I literally had the free agents in front of me. Want to make sure I'm not missing somebody. I don't have the photographic that the guy to my right does, so I like a list in front of me so I'm not missing players.
I'd rather just make it up as I go along.
I wish I could.
So I had to give an informative speech for one of my classes, and I decided that my topic would just be the history of the Miami Heat. And they're like, you need 3 oral sources. And I'm like,
Wait.
what if I just know it all?
Wait, what do you mean by 3 oral sauce
Or oral
sources?
oral something. I think oral references, whatever. You need to cite oral citations.
Gotcha.
And I'm like,
You cite David Moulton at any point?
no.
You should Miller and Moulton. That's what you should do. One of them should be Miller and Moulton.
According to Miller and Moulton, the Heat won the finals in 2012. I don't know, but it was weird because I don't know. How come the Sacramento Kings?
Oh, didn't Philly win as duck? Okay, all right. I got.
Oh, you get.
Now I see what you're talking about. You know what? He does have a little bit of that John Cryer bad hair from the.
My mom calls it Kramer.
It's a little bit of that too. When it's
Longer.
When you had that mop going.
Mm-hmm. So, do I need to look up Duck from Molly Ringwald movie?
Not really.
No.
How come the Kings draft top 10 for 10 years, not make the playoffs, but the Bengals go to the Super Bowl in 2? Very simple. Their front office sucks.
He's not lying.
They make bad picks. They make bad trades. Horrible trades. They just made a horrible trade. And they don't have good coaches. Just a really bad franchise overall, and it's
You
kinda
know, I
sad.
really don't like San Francisco and Murray State tipping at 9:40 because you know that's a 10 o'clock tip.
Oh God.
Vermont, to the two of the games I want to watch the most are at 9:20 and 9:40. Don't
Right.
care about Texas Southern and Kansas, and I think UCLA is going to blow Akron out, so I don't so much care about that. Time you got class today, Philly?
Today I actually don't have class, thank God. Thursday is the only day of the week I don't have class, so I will be sitting with 3 TVs in front of my face watching basketball all day.
Good for you.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"22 minutes before the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. Thanks so much for being with us. We'll head to Houston at the top of our bonus hour coming up. Try to get the latest on what's going on with Deshaun Watson. Where's he going? NFC South, he's got 3 choices, apparently. New Orleans, Carolina, and Atlanta. And Cleveland is looming as well. Speaking of choices, we got 16 of them today. It's called the tournament, baby. John Fanta from Fox is kind enough to join us once again. John, it's David and Mark. How you been?
Oh, how could you not be fantastic on a morning like this one? Happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody. And the madness is here. It gets started soon, less than 4 hours away. Cannot wait for this day. There's nothing like it in sports. And for the first time in 3 years, it looks the way that it should, with packed houses and people in the stands. And I always love being in a building, guys, when the unbiased fans in the stands that are at these games to take in the action, they hop on that lower seat, they hop on that underdog in the course of the game, and to start to hear the crowd back a Cinderella, if you will. Who's that slipper going to fit on today?
Well, there's no doubt. Let's start right. You know, you cover the Big East as well as anybody. Providence and South Dakota State, everybody, I mean everybody, seems to be all over the Jackrabbits. Are they right? Are they wrong?
I think they're wrong. Ed Cooley has used this to his advantage. He's pinned it on the bulletin board. And in his press conference yesterday, he said, nobody's picking us. Nobody's picking us. We're an underdog. And he's he's using that. I don't think I've ever heard this out of a 4-13 game, but that's what's happening with Providence. Look, Providence is 25-5. And a lot of people would think, what? Providence is 25-5. And that's how a lot of folks have developed their conclusions on the Friars, because people aren't buying that. But this Providence team has executed really well. And they've been great in close games. They're 10-2 in games decided by 5 points or less this season. They're also, get this, guys, South Dakota State is outside the top 200 in defense in college basketball by the metrics, according to Ken Pomeroy. Providence is 17-0 this season when they face a team outside the top 50 in defense. How about that? They've been very good against teams that aren't great defensively. And South Dakota State, they've won 21 in a row, and a lot of people are on them, and I understand why. But I would just point out that this Providence team if they're scoring the basketball, Ed Cooley's teams always defend and rebound. And they have a big man in the middle, Nate Watson, who's 6'10.5". South Dakota State doesn't have anybody on their roster over 6'8". So we have to look at some of the other materials to this matchup before we just say, oh, it's the Friars and they're a lucky team, and now that luck is up. I find it ironic they're playing on St. Patrick's Day here this afternoon. I think Providence is going to win this game.
Listen, you see more than just Big East basketball, but it is something that you see a lot of. I want to attack a couple of 8-9 games. Creighton and Marquette, who you've seen and called some of their games this year. They're playing North Carolina, San Diego State. Marquette got off to a good start. A little shaky towards the end of the year. Creighton was terrific. Then they lost their freshman point guard, but they bounced back in and around the Big East tournament. Your thoughts about Marquette and Creighton as 9s going up against 8 seeds that people think are dangerous?
Well, I think for Marquette, this is a really interesting game against North Carolina. The thing with the Golden Eagles is they're a team that won 7 in a row in January. They were on a roll. They have not been the same team down the stretch this season, but it's a new year. We've seen teams struggle going into March Madness and then get on a high. Here's the thing with Marquette. They have got to ride Justin Lewis. He's a 6'7" sophomore forward who is a big-time talent. He's got to play a great game today for Marquette to have a chance. This is a game that tips off at 4:30 in the afternoon against North Carolina. And North Carolina has a force in Armando Bacot. But I think the key in this game is what Caleb Love does in the backcourt for the Tar Heels. And if Daryl Morcell, Tyler Kolek, and company can be able to defend him. Because for Marquette, they're a team, they've got to turn defense into offense. They've got to get downhill. They need tempo to be able to succeed. And they haven't always been getting that tempo lately. I think it's a tall task. I mean, North Carolina's played well here down the stretch in the season. We'll see. We get a real gauge of the Shaka Smart era here in his first year. He's done a nice job. He's gotten into the tournament. People did not have this Marquette team in the tournament in the preseason. We'll see how they handle all that. As for Creighton, it's going to be a defensive war with San Diego State. San Diego State is number 2 in defense according to the metrics nationally. And they're a team that it's first to 60. Now, Creighton is okay with that this year. Previously, Greg McDermott's teams have been high 70s, low 80s, shoot the three. It's been a different Creighton team. They have a 3-time national champion from Division II, a kid named Ryan Hawkins. They have a kid named Ryan Kalkbrenner who plays the center position. He's been playing extremely well. So Creighton is cut out differently this year. Does it actually pay off? I like the Blue Jays in this spot more than I like Marquette.
All right. Another one of these 4-13 games that has me really intrigued is Arkansas and Vermont. Vermont's a really solid team. They blew out everybody in their conference tournament. But Arkansas is a team I think can play deep into the second week. They've got that kind of talent and they've got that kind of ability to score the basketball. How do you see this one?
Well, I'll tell you what. Vermont fans are excellent, and they got a nice draw here with the game being in Buffalo because they're the ones who don't have to do much travel, and they're the 13th seed here. So I think that Vermont has a chance in this game. I like the way that things set up for them. Guys, they have a star talent in Ryan Davis. He's 6'8", 250. Don't let the size fool you. He can score the ball at 3 levels. He's the guy who makes things happen for them. Vermont is incredibly efficient offensively for their talent level. They are a really efficient team, and I think this is one of John Becker's best teams, if not his best. Now, Arkansas is about tempo. They've got a stud guard in J.D. Note. Vermont has got to limit Note to have a chance. Arkansas can score the ball in a variety of ways. I think they've got 4 in double figures this season. So I have a gut feeling on this one. I could see this one going right down the wire. I can absolutely see Vermont winning. This is the matchup today that really embodies what March is about. Because to your point, I think Arkansas, once they win a tournament game, they could win a couple more in a row. They're a momentum-based team. Eric Musselman is like that on the sideline. So I think the first one is always the toughest one to get. There's a lot of stress around it, a lot of pressure on you. So this is an interesting game, and I'm taking Vermont. I'm going to go with the upset here. I think the Catamounts are going to pull it off.
And Vermont's getting 5 if you're willing to go down that road as well. Listen, there's a couple matchups that I really want to see. I want to see Murray State get their shot at Kentucky. I want to see Davidson get their shot at Duke. The two big boys schedule a lot of in-state schools. They don't normally schedule those two schools, however. So I'm really hoping that those mid-majors can get their shot in the second round at Kentucky and Duke. Is there a team or two off the beaten path that you're liking, John?
Yes. 13 seed Chattanooga. I'm on the Mocs bandwagon. Out of the Southern Conference, I think this team is really interesting. They have a stud talent in a kid named Malachi Smith. He's averaging 20 a game. He is a bucket. So they've got an elite level score. What Chattanooga has is they've got power conference talent on a mid-major program. They brought in a Kansas transfer in Silvio D'Souza, who will guard Kofi Cockburn when the Mocs take on the Fighting Illini. And I think that that's a good matchup. I think D'Souza will be able to match up with Cockburn, keep him at bay. Chattanooga is extremely efficient. They don't turn the ball over much. They have balanced scoring, and like I said, they've got the star in Smith. This team can compete with Illinois. And guys, Illinois has had a weird season. They've been shorthanded for a good portion of it. They really haven't had their consistent rotation throughout much of it. I know they lost last year to Loyola Chicago on the first weekend, and so now they've got to be on extra guard here. But I do think when you ask me, a team off the beaten path, the Chattanooga Mocs fit the bill for an upset team.
And, John, if they win that, they're going to the Sweet 16, and I think if Illinois wins it, they could go to the Elite 8. I'm the same thing you said about Arkansas, I think about Illinois. If they can get one, they might be able to get 3, because I think they're good enough to do it, but that first game and the pressure is evident. Which one seed gets bounced first in your estimation?
I'm going to go with Baylor. And I think that the winner of the North Carolina Marquette game could beat Baylor. I know that that's bold, but Baylor has had injuries. They don't have L.J. Cryer, one of their standout guards this weekend. Jonathan Chamwa-Chachua is out for the year. So they're dealing with some major adversity here. You get to this stage and you're missing some key pieces, it's hard to compensate for that. So I could see Baylor getting bounced. Gonzaga, to me, I think has a clear path to the Final Four. Arizona got a really good path as well, in my estimation. And I think Kansas, they have a decent path. I don't think they would fall to San Diego State or Creighton, and I like the way that things can shake out for them. But to your question, I think Baylor's a team that could go down.
Is this Villanova 2 seed as good as recent Villanova 2 seeds?
No, it's not. It's not, but their draws perhaps on par or better than recent Villanova 2 seeds. I like this draw. You know, they're playing Delaware. Out of the 15s, I think that's an easy matchup. Then they have an Ohio State or Loyola Chicago. Ohio State has struggled a ton down the stretch in the season. They have not been good. Loyola Chicago is a team that a lot of people are on in this. And the line's basically a pick 'em.
Yep.
I think Loyola Chicago is going to win this game. I don't think it'll be a surprise. And here's the thing. Loyola Chicago has pulled off upsets, guys, because they do a lot of the things that Villanova likes to do. Don't turn over the ball, limit possessions. Villanova does those things, but even better. I thought this was a good draw for the Wildcats. If they get Tennessee in the Sweet 16, They already beat Tennessee by 18 in the regular season. So the cards are set for Villanova to go on a deep run. I thought they got one of the best draws in the bracket reveal. They have a fifth-year senior point guard in Colin Gillespie, a fifth-year senior stretch four in Jermaine Samuels. I think that Brandon Slater's really taken the next steps. He's a dynamic stretch four as well. This team's complementary cast has gotten better, and Gillespie does not turn the ball over. Lowest turnover rate of a player in college hoops. Villanova got a nice draw here. They might not be as good as some of the other teams, but you guys know at this time of year, if your end of the bracket hands out well enough for you, that's why it's March Madness. And that's why you could end up exceeding anybody's expectation level.
Mark, the only thing I'll say, and I don't disagree with anything John said, Ohio State scares me because they do have two pros. They've been very inconsistent, and I can see Illinois, Chicago beating them, but they do have two pros. They scare me because of that.
And finally, John, who do you got cutting down the nets?
I'm going with Kentucky. I like the Wildcats. They've got the balance of experience and explosive youth with Ty Washington. John Calipari has built this roster differently. He's gone the transfer portal route. Kellen Grady from Davidson, Oscar Sheboy from West Virginia. They come from great coaching, Bob McKillop and Bob Huggins. John Calipari's built this roster the right way. I like the Wildcats to cut down the nets in New Orleans.
God, John, I knew I loved you. John Fanta from Fox. You can follow him on Twitter at John_Fanta, Fanta. John, enjoy. Pace yourself. It's a long day. It's a long weekend.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate you. Thanks for having me. Enjoy the dance. This is what it's all about.
John Fanta from Fox, rising up the broadcasting ladder, too, every year.
Absolutely. And he should, because he brings that same enthusiasm when he's calling a game.
Yep.
And obviously you can hear the knowledge. The guy lives for this sport, and we're lucky to have him as a guest. That I got excited. I'm already just jacked about 3 hours and 20 minutes from now. He even got me more excited getting into the tournament.
I love the 13 and 14 seeds in this tournament. I really do. It is difficult for me to imagine having the November and December that we had. Why is it we wouldn't get it again in March?
He goes Vermont.
Yep. He's not alone. Jay Billis. Jay Billis went Vermont. He went South Dakota State. Come on. It's March Madness for a reason. Somebody's going to make it madness.
And somebody is going to end up with Deshaun Watson. We will find out who, at least try to, next. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa filters for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters. Napa has a filter for almost anything on earth that moves, whether it's motorcycles, foreign and domestic cars, vans, SUVs, earth-moving equipment. You get the idea. Napa Auto Parts, Napa filters. Insist on them for your vehicles, or if you're a do-it-yourselfer, only buy Napa filters.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Coming up Friday on Miller and Moulton.
It's a Friday, so we'll talk with Pat Kerwin.
And we'll look back at day one of the tournament.
Get ready for day two of the madness.
Friday morning, 6 a.m., Miller and Moulton, Florida Sports Network.
Don't know if you have this, but ESPN Stats and Info just put this out on Twitter. On this day in 1936, Joe D played his first game. Oh, it was an exhibition. Forget it. He did have 4 hits, including a triple.
Brooks is on hold.
Great.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. Now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the bonus hour on this St. Patrick's Day, first day of the full field NCAA tournament. Thanks so much for being with us, Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. A little over 30 minutes from now, good, bad, and ugly. Today was the day when, all that sort of stuff. Brooks Kubena is kind enough to join us. He covers the Texans for the Houston Chronicle. You can follow Brooks on Twitter at @bkubena. That's Kubena. Brooks, it's David and Mark. Thanks for your time. How are you this morning?
Doing fine, guys. How about yourselves?
Well, we're trying to figure out who's he going to choose. What are you hearing? What do you know?
Well, that's the ultimate question, isn't it? I mean, he's been visiting with teams. He's got his no trade clause. We've heard people within who have visited with him and submitted trade contracts. From the Falcons, the Saints, the Panthers, those are the big names right now. And really, with the league year starting yesterday, that's kind of where everybody's wondering if this is going to happen sooner rather than later. And it seems like this is something everybody's waiting for. And, the Texans would like to have a prompt resolution to it so that they can clear off the contract and perhaps be a little bit more aggressive in free agency. They've been pretty conservative so far. They've re-signed 16 players from last year's team, and most of the contracts they've taken on are relatively short-term, inexpensive contracts that reflect what they have last year. So, that's kind of where we sit right now, and really it becomes a waiting game.
Do you think there'd be any way, whether it's with Atlanta or Cleveland, that they'd want a quarterback in return, or do you think they're happy with the young man they got and want to see where this develops?
I think they're happy with Davis Mills. We've spoken with Nick Caserio, Lovie Smith. Part of the reason that they retained Pep Hamilton, who was the quarterback coach last year, was last an offensive coordinator with the Colts. He's now offensive coordinator with the Texans, and they said it was a must to keep him because they want to keep the consistency and progression for Davis Mills, who looked good at times in this offense. And look, that's a relative word and expression. We talked about the Texans last year. He's got the talent. There are arguments to be made that if he had stayed at Stanford another year, that he would be the top quarterback in this draft class. He was at one time the number one overall recruit as a quarterback coming out of high school when he went to Stanford. And there's a couple of stories that I've written about over the past couple of years. I mean, if you look at that last year he was at Stanford, the first couple of weeks were impacted by a false positive for him that inhibited he wasn't able to play against Oregon. He was released just the day before the second game of the year. And then when he came back, they won their last 4 games. So, and he went back, he just decided to leave because that was a lot of uncertainty, and he just felt he was ready. And the Texans, they're looking at it, they're like, all right, well, we got this year's first round pick with last year's third round pick. And they want to continue to see that. You look at the signings that they've made. They're expected to sign Kyle Allen, who was last with Washington. And then, they have Jeff Driscoll under contract. So really the moves they've made so far are showing that they're still behind Davis Mills. And I would put it past the Texans to perhaps create a little more competition in camp. That's kind of the thing Caserio likes to do. But I don't expect that they have so many other needs across their roster that if they're making a package deal for some players, they probably want to fill it out with other roles.
Brooks Kubena covers the Texans for the Houston Chronicle. Follow Brooks on Twitter, @bkubena, Kubena. Well, if Deshaun is sent back in here, doesn't that free up a ton of money? Can't they go grocery shopping and buy a lot of groceries?
Yeah, his contract would clear about $26 million. I think it is off the books. There's some dead money they take on. That's a lot of dough. You could go and figure out a few things, and that's part of the reason why they want to probably get this done pretty quickly, because this is when all the big moves are being made. But there are a few. What's interesting is that you're starting to see some responses from some of the teams involved in potential trade talks. That some guys who are on these teams and could potentially sign, they're trying to figure out where he's going to land first, and then maybe they'll sign or not sign or whatnot. So that maybe just in that kind of way, There are some other people that might be available later on. But, sometimes when people are taking calls and negotiating and stuff, that takes a little longer than the first couple of days. But, everybody's acting quick. So, yes, I think it would change Casero's approach a little. He might be able to go out and spend a little bit more money on some key positions, but I do think they're focused more on the draft, at least at this point, because they're taking on a lot of contracts, they're taking on a lot of players. None of it really soaking up too much of what would potentially be the space cleared by Watson. But it would be a big deal for the Texans, because last year, if you look at where they were with cap space, it was in a bad spot, and that's why they had to overhaul the roster. They had so many new players on 1-year deals, and I know that that's not the preferred way that franchises want to operate. It would allow them to get back to a more standard way of approaching the free agency period.
I know it's not going to happen, but if Deshaun would have ended up staying in Houston, would that have worked with the Houston fan base? How has this whole thing played out in Houston?
Well, to remember, before the lawsuits were filed, Deshaun Watson had requested a trade. So it wasn't a situation that you're sitting here now thinking that the Texans were ever going to be an option.
Right,
so,
but Aaron Rodgers kind of requested a trade and wanted out too. He is a top 5 quarterback when he's able to play. So even requesting a trade.
Well, I think the circumstances are obviously different. The Packers were in the playoffs. The Texans had come off a 4-12 season, and a lot of the trades that have been made, you think of the DeAndre Hopkins deal, other things that had set the franchise back. And even whenever the new regime changed, Nick Caserio comes in, David Culley came in, Deshaun Watson didn't change his mind after that. So, with Aaron Rodgers, that can be rectified with new contracts, new deals, showing him that, that the Packers were going to, I'm less familiar with his deal, but, you're able to create a circumstance where they're still a competitor. And, last year it was clear that the Texans were veering toward a rebuild. So, and part of that being because of the trade demand that Deshaun Watson had. So, it wasn't exactly a circumstance the same. I think you could look at Aaron Rodgers, but let's just say, like, if he did want to play, it's the same circumstance that all NFL teams are going to do now. They're all going to say that they have done their due diligence on the civil lawsuits. Anybody who takes on Deshaun Watson is going to have to, you're bringing in someone who has some serious legal procedures. Last week, the grand jury here in Houston, the criminal side, there's two things: the criminal side and the civil side. The criminal side has been resolved. The grand jury decided not to indict, but the civil suits are going to still continue well beyond April. So that's still happening behind kind of what everybody's talking about on the football side. So Houston, toward your question, I think Houston's more familiar with all of that. They've seen all of this. This has happened over the past year. I think just in terms of that might be a situation where that's more present. So Houston's had a front row seat to this the whole time. A lot of other cities that are now in the conversations for Deshaun Watson, that will arrive with any trade that shows up.
Brooks, final question. How much of a game changer, if at all, was Friday? Because from where we sat, we thought, man, if there's criminal charges filed, I don't know if any team's going to be willing to make this deal, and he could sit out a whole other year. But when criminal charges were filed, we wondered, this changes everything.
Yeah, I was there Friday at his attorney's office. His attorney's here in Houston, Rusty Hardin, and I spoke with him after that, and he said that he knew that if that NFL teams were interested in Deshaun Watson if criminal charges were not filed, and that was the major thing. If you look back at the November trade deadline, whenever Miami insisted that Deshaun Watson resolve all of his civil suits, that was while the criminal investigation was still ongoing. So that was its own separate case. And I mean, we've seen that play out since Friday, that any team that's been involved, they've submitted trade requests. They've went and met with Deshaun Watson. That has changed how NFL teams have approached this, and they're clearly comfortable pursuing a potential trade with the civil lawsuit still ongoing. And Rusty Harden also said that there are no discussions to settle these cases. And Tony Busby, who represents the women who have filed suit, says that since Friday, no one has approached him, not about settling the lawsuits, not about any inquiry, which that in itself is somewhat surprising with teams that are, seeking out bringing in a player and will have to respond that they've done their due diligence on this thing. So, but to your question, yeah, I mean, Friday was a major step onto how teams felt comfortable in pursuing Watson going forward.
Brooks, especially since it's an hour earlier for you, we really appreciate you making time for us, and hopefully they can get this thing done today so you can enjoy your weekend.
Yeah, we'll see.
Thanks, Brooks. Brooks Kubena covers the Texans for the Houston Chronicle. Follow him on Twitter, the letter B, Kubena, Kubena, Kubena. You think he gets the same or more than what it costs to get Russell Wilson?
I think it should be more, but given the civil suits and all the things that are going on, I think it'll be roughly the same.
So what are we talking? 2 1s, 2 2s?
Yeah.
Type of deal?
That seems right.
But also there were 3 other players.
There are players involved in it as well. That seems about right. Don't you think?
Well, when you look back, especially if the players end up being serviceable, Denver really did give up a lot. Now, I don't think you can ever give up too much to get your hands on a franchise quarterback. But 2 1s, 2 2s, 3 players, if 2 of the 3 are serviceable, wow. I mean, in theory, you got 6 players if you're Seattle, 6 starters. I still need a quarterback, though. But
right.
I would actually think that, because he's 7 years younger than Russell Wilson. And he's under contract for 4 years. Russ is only under contract for this year and next. So Denver knew when they were making the deal, within 12 months, they're going to have to sit down with Russ and go big, 5 for 225.
We keep talking about Seattle and why they didn't get it and why Watson didn't want to go there, but maybe it's a resurrection place for Baker as well.
Well, the style of ball that Pete wants to play would actually suit Baker.
It would. And talk about not necessarily a hiding spot, because there's no such thing as hiding in the NFL, but it's not going to get the type of publicity and angst nationally that he did in Cleveland. He wouldn't be doing the ads. I mean, the ads are going to go away.
Yes.
He could just be a quarterback in Seattle.
There'll be a little bit of pressure if he ends up in Indy. Colts fans are, they're chomping at the bit. They're not ornery.
No, but they also understand that they've got a really good roster. As we talked earlier, the problem is they're playing checkers. They need a couple of chess pieces.
And so, and they're doing the 5 quarterbacks in 5 years thing, and the fan base is like, we don't want to keep playing this game.
Right.
Please tell me this is going to be our guy for 3 to 4 years. And on a scale of 1 to 10, he's going to be at least a 7.5. Please. I have been surprised, by the way, how come the Colts haven't gotten their hands on a wide receiver by trade or by signing?
Free agency, exactly.
They've got the money. They just acquired a handful of picks from Washington in the Wentz deal. And yeah, they're going to have to give some of those up probably to get their hands on a quarterback via trade. But come on now. I mean, you're going to need to help your quarterback, whoever it's going to be, out. You don't have good weapons. You're bottom 25% of the league at the wide receiver position. You're in the AFC. You might be able, like San Francisco can play their style and win in the NFC. It would be really difficult to play that style and get through the AFC.
Yeah, but when healthy, San Francisco has receivers.
Yes.
I mean, they actually have
weapons. Now they do. I mean, Debo's turned into
a star.
Right, a weapon. But like 3 years ago when they
No,
drafted him, they didn't think so.
I understand that, but they've got guys there. They've got guys that can spread the
Well,
field.
and they have Kittle.
And a lethal tight end.
Yes.
Right. So while their style is conducive to running the football, if they've got to stand back and heave it, they've got guys that can go get it.
But Indianapolis, you'd have to acknowledge, is San Francisco light.
No question. Without a pass rusher.
Right. And the Niners are one of the best teams in the league at getting to the quarterback, only rushing 4. Miller and Moulton. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap today was the day when. It's all coming up in about 20 minutes when we come back. All right.
Oh, everybody's been waiting. Text line's been jammed. Twitch chat room is just clamoring, chomping at the bit. They all want to know who is Moulton's Final Four and who's going to play Kentucky for the national championship.
Is that really what you saw on Twitch? Because I just saw during that whole interview a long conversation about Vancouver versus Quebec.
You know, David, this is what you call embellishing to make the show sound a little bigger and a little better.
Gotcha.
They're in their own world. They couldn't care less about this show right now. They haven't been paying attention for the last hour, and we've had 4 great guests, and they're talking about vacationing on Vancouver Island or something.
Right, and apparently Vancouver's ruined, but Quebec City's beautiful. Yeah, but all I know is one has a hockey team and one doesn't. So, edge Vancouver. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Yeah, see, Billis goes Vermont and South Dakota State.
Julius Caesar's last win was today.
Yes.
You have that?
No, I
Didn't you pass
it?
it?
I left it out.
Things went downhill.
You're right.
Thought he got executed
Like 2 days ago, though.
Well, but that's a year.
Oh, it was a year earlier. It was a 46.
Right,
Okay.
right. They took care of
It's a
it
rough
later.
year.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about getting bounced.
It's got Gonzaga, Kentucky, Arizona, Kansas.
Went all on a limb there, huh?
So it's 3 1s and a 2, huh? Well, he always, though. I mean, Jay Billis believes it should be the best 68 teams.
Yes.
I mean, he doesn't want any of the little guys.
Yeah, but the little guys makes it fun.
No. It's not special without the little guys.
That's what I'm
It's regular season college basketball without the little
You
guys.
two are arguing the same thing. Just slow down.
No, I know.
What did he say?
That it's not special.
No. What did he say before that? Who wants the top 68?
Jay Billis.
Okay, at least you listened. That's an improvement.
I know we're agreeing.
Sounded like you were arguing with David over something somebody said. You just started yelling at him. You haven't raised your voice in 5 hours.
Hey, I'm impressed you're awake. Because it's been a struggle today, man.
It's always,
and we've talked basketball pretty much the whole show, and he's fallen asleep.
It's always at the turn of the 8 o'clock hour that I'm.
How late do you stay up?
You were doing that at 5:50. You've been tired all day.
Like, what time did you go to bed?
Shouldn't be that hard.
11. I don't even know. I just get home because I went to the game last night, the FGCU game, and I got home. I took a shower, took a look at my homework. That
Little sweaty from all the cheering.
Oh no, I didn't wear the astronaut helmet this time.
That's good.
No.
It really would have stood out because there was like 500 people there.
Yeah, there's no one there. But yeah. Thought about doing homework that was due, realized I had a 1-day grace period, and I said, I'm going to take that 1-day grace period. Yeah. Ten seconds.
Thanks for listening. And now, more of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
"24 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. Bonus hour. For those of you in the 239, great to be here. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap? Today was the day win. Coming up, immediately following Mark, a special edition of Sheeman and Shepard. Remember we used to do 2-hour shows? God, it was great. I liked it better when we were on location, though. We could drink.
Yeah, it's a great location-based show. There's no doubt. And it buzz in, buzz out.
Just eating during time to make our picks. Is there munching? Eat breakfast before the show, eat lunch during the final hour of the show.
March Madness has like a radio row.
No. We would just be at a bar locally that wanted to.
Gotcha.
Or sometimes we behaved, but we ordered like right before the last segment so that the food arrived as we were done.
Nice.
Then we would just stay.
Your predecessor and David, before even I joined David, this was 50 boneless just to get you rolling, right?
Yeah. Went to a nearby place. We walked in, ordered a pitcher and 50. No, 50 regular wings.
Okay.
Not boneless. Just 50 wings and a pitcher. And that was just before they tipped the first game.
Wow.
Then we ordered lunch.
As well you should.
Just we're at halftime of the first games. It's like, I don't know about you, but I'm hungry.
God, wings sound good right now.
What doesn't sound good right about now?
That's a great point.
All right, I made picks.
Good for you.
Finally, I filled out a bracket.
Fantastic.
I've got a lot of upsets.
No.
I got a lot of upsets, but I only have one semi-flyer to the Final Four, and I'm not happy with myself either. Like I would not bet this.
This may be the best bracket you've probably ever filled out. Listen to what Moulton's talking about. It's going to go well because he doesn't like the bracket. So who's the Final Four?
Gonzaga,
Okay, check.
Kentucky,
Check.
Arizona,
Oh, boy.
Iowa. And I hate Fran McCaffrey. I really do. I do like their draw, though. Their A game's really good. They're better defensively than they've been in 10 years. I think they're just good enough. You usually, the Virginia Texas Tech year was the aberration. Usually you have to score 75 points a game to have Final Four type success. Iowa plays that way. I like their draw. And I think it could unfold for them. Now, they'll probably lose in the second round, but because that's what Iowa does to me. I'm sorry, I'm off the Rick Barnes train. Has killed me way too many times in the tournament. I'm giving Fran one more shot.
All right. So who, just out of curiosity, how many double digits are going to the weekend?
Oh,
I mean, going to the second weekend, I should say.
To the Sweet 16, 3.
3?
Yeah. I've got a couple of 12-13 second round matchups. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
One other thing quickly, because as I mentioned, you used to do, I thought you did boneless wings, because I've seen you go after boneless wings hard.
But, like, they don't count, though.
And someone said boneless wings are a crime against humanity, which I agree.
I agree also.
And my answer was, but Moulton can do 50 in around 10 minutes, and it's worth watching.
Right.
I mean, you just, as they said about Blutowski, just keep your hands away from the table.
Right. I know that I was not the person that caused the whole, he eats it, unless it's nailed down, but I do resemble that remark.
So I just, so you'll defend boneless wings just for the quickness.
Yeah, come on. Everything.
They're like popcorn.
Yeah.
You just kind of keep going.
Yes. I mean, they serve a purpose. I mean, you don't, if it's any sort of occasion, you can't go the boneless wings route. I mean, you're going strictly because I'm starving and I need it to be quick and easy. And I don't even want to eat with my hands.
I
just want to eat with my fingertips.
I don't want to take the time for a hot bone on my hands. I just want to put a fork in these things, dip and go.
Convenience.
One napkin. I mean, honestly, I only want to use one napkin.
There is that.
Even for 50 of them.
They are kind of like French fries if you're dipping them. You can get really hot fries.
Totally.
You put a hot fry and some ketchup.
Bang.
Then it's of a working temperature that you're not burning the mouth. It's
Right.
not like eating a piece of pizza that comes out and you're going to cause bodily harm.
I order a bunch of different flavors also. Like I don't do 50 with, all ranch or what have you. What do you want? Well, I want one of these. I want one of these. I want one of these. I want one of these.
Thank you, Spalding.
Because this way I feel as if, I'm having like 4 different kinds of wings.
And almost 4 meals.
Right.
Like 2 separate appetizers and an entree.
Yes. I don't feel the need to order an entree, by the way, during March Madness.
Oh, no.
I mean, just one big appetizer after another. Go from wings to quesadillas, back to wings, throw in a pretzel with some mustard, throw in some nachos. I don't feel that there's anything that has fries on the side is necessary for the next 4 days.
I like where you're at with that.
I mean, do I really need to order a patty melt? Why not just keep the appetizers going?
That's fine, but if you're still making the trip over today, it's going to be hot dogs for the noon games, corned beef and cabbage for the late afternoon games. So it's lunch and dinner. I'm actually giving you meals, not appetizers. I just realized I've got to probably pick up a bag of chips on the way home so I can give you some queso dip or something.
I'm going home. I'm going to sleep. I don't know when I'm going to wake up. I don't know if I'm going to make it today. To be honest with you, we'll see. I've got it,
and I don't care because I can have those meals by myself or with you.
Well, and you've already said, I'm making this for mom. I'm making this for the wife and daughter. So I understand I'm not part of the equation. Am I still on the list, by the way?
Absolutely.
So I can get through the front gate.
You can get through the gate.
I couldn't get through the front gate to Pat's last week.
You're off the list.
I was at the lady, and I need some help with this. I know we get good, bad, and ugly and all that. Whatever. So I've never heard of a list at a gated community having an expiration date. I've never heard of you were put on the list. I'm sorry, it's 2022. You were on the 2021 list. I can't let you through. The lady tried to say that you were on the old list. It had an expiration date. They have to put you on this list. And I, of course, looked right at her and said, well, give me a pen.
Oh, boy. They're not paid a whole lot of money to work there.
No, I was not rude at all. I was implying, though.
All right, Felipe, I need your help here. I don't know how often you go through gates, but you are a very polite young man. A lot of things I give you grief over. You are a very polite young man.
Yes.
Could you ever imagine looking at a security guard who's making terrible money to take grief from someone? Give me the list. Do you consider that, even though he didn't say it in a rude way?
I didn't.
It's just aggressive.
By the way, bullcrap.
I didn't. I didn't.
It came with oozing with sarcasm.
I didn't. Okay, she said they'll have to put you on the list, and I said, give me the old list and a pen.
so aggressive.
Aggressive?
So
Yes,
aggressive.
it is.
Give me the pen. I'll write it myself.
You're
I didn't
wrong.
say it like that.
It implies
That's what
you're
we're
wrong.
implying.
I'm right. Let me through the damn gate.
No, it doesn't imply that she's wrong and I'm right. It implies, okay, those are the new rules. I'll put my own name on the list. I was on the old one. It's right here.
The defense rests. All I had to do was get him up on the stand and start talking. All I had to do.
I'm going to do your job for you.
Well, here's what I did. So, if you go to the gated community and they won't let you through, you can't back up. I got 4 cars behind me. It's a popular place. And so I say, well, what do I do? And she goes, well, go through and turn around. Well, I go through and I make the left as if I'm going to make the U-turn and leave. And there's a little area to park. Well, once you go through, they forget about you. Because they got 4, 5, 6 cars they got to wait on.
So then you busted through the gated community?
No, yeah. So I pulled
So
over.
Pat's going to get a letter because of you.
Hold on. So I just pulled over to the side and I just waited. And I waited till the next car went through, and then I pulled right behind him, and we went through together. Chase me down, arrest me.
So petty.
Oh, it's not arrest you. Pat's getting a letter.
He probably is. Hey, I had a delivery. Trust me, the delivery's more important than the letter.
I'm not going to lie, though. I wouldn't have said the pen thing, but I probably would have done everything he did after the pen thing.
Like I'm coming back. You know how hard it is to get a hold of him? It might take 4 months to get me on the list. No.
That's all right. Most time with me, he just meets me up at the store in the corner. I don't even get inside the gates. And I know people that work there can get through.
I don't know anybody.
You are something.
I had to break the law.
Hope it wasn't the one that's really nice there, too. There's one that is so friendly and so nice that works there.
Yeah, she was not, just for the record. Okay. She was not. And I was actually in a really good mood. And I'm like, well, there's got to be a mistake because I've been coming through this gate for years. And I literally said that, I came through this gate 4 months ago. She said, well, the list expired. I'm like, and I literally said to her, what is it, like milk? That was probably
no, you know what? You were just very charming.
I wasn't nasty.
Very polite.
I was a little sarcastic.
No.
I was just a little bit.
No.
Little bit. I, quite frankly, hey, I'm not saying she deserved it because she probably didn't, but I think the club did. Please, the list expired. Hello? No, it doesn't.
The good, the bad, and the Moulton at a security counter, along with what's on tap.
Has anybody ever heard of the gate list expiring?
As someone who lives in there, I can put an expiration date on anybody that comes in. Literally on the app. It has, when do you want this to end? And I can pick a date.
Don't understand why you would cross somebody off the list unless they earned it, and I had not earned it. I should still be on the list.
Today was a day when What's on tap? And again, the good, the bad, and the Moulton at a security counter is next on Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, the Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, the Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with the Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Sent that to John.
Moulton versus the gatekeeper.
I told him I'd go out back and let him in.
He's watching. That is funny. You know, Johnny Mack, it's a hell of a point. Yeah, I'm disappointed. I thought we'd wait till the end.
Next act is the delivery driver.
Day
to day.
That is really funny stuff right there. No, we do that on our own. Trust me, I wanted to leave him like that. I thought it would have been funny.
He, right.
So who do you have in your Final Four again? Oh, he's not listening.
He had Gonzaga, Kentucky, Arizona, and Iowa.
Iowa. I don't even know if Iowa's going to get past Providence. But we'll see.
So you got everything done back there that you need to have done. You got everything that you can transfer over home on your laptop. And
You've
all
already
that?
got the first 2 hours or first 3 hours up, right?
Yes.
So you can put that third hour. You can put that third hour before you leave, or that fourth hour.
Yeah,
It only takes you 2 seconds, right?
Yeah. Cut it, post it.
Yeah.
I'm out of here. Boom. Bada bing, bada boom.
Did you already send off the promo to everybody?
Yes.
Good man. Good job, Philly.
Hey, if it's make it easier for you, we could do it every day. And so this way it's done. If it'll save you time, and
Yeah.
I mean, if it's easier for you, it's no.
I mean, I always
It's
get
no different for us.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
big deal. We, while you're getting set up, we set up the studio and we do it 9:59 versus whenever. I mean, it makes no difference.
I usually always get out of here around the same time, which is like 10:30. So, I mean, I guess on days where I'm in a rush.
I don't have much today, by the way, at all.
See if I got anything.
All right. Good. It's probably good that we went long last segment then. I'm busy working on trying to get a bet on the women's basketball game right now.
All I know is we lost 1.5 points. Last night, the lines came out on the women's tournament. FGCU was getting 7.5. It's already down to 6.
4 years ago, I committed to FGCU. I'm just kidding. That's not. Hey, Dead Streak finally caught a tarpon. Let's go!
Oh, wow.
Oh, that's awesome, dude.
Congratulations.
That is a life achievement. I would,
How big?
Yeah, how big? Because they're usually big. I want to catch a tarpon one day. Biggest fish I've ever caught was a black tip shark.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Ooh, nice. Did you get a scale? Or that's like
No, you're right.
no.
That's what you take. You take the scale off if you can.
Oh, I know, but
It's technically illegal, isn't it?
that's the thing. Some people would argue it's inhumane. But
he's
You did.
he's under an assumption.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
$18 minutes before the top of the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. Thanks so much for being with us. Pat Kerwin on the show tomorrow. Obviously, more brackets, results to recap, games to look forward to. It'll be a special Football Friday, Mark. Kind of like a very special blossom.
That's what I was going to say.
Tomorrow on Miller and Moulton. It's not a busy day, at least not according to me, but it is time for...
Leave it to the oldest guy in the show, and definitely the oldest soul to live in the past. Here's David Moulton with Today Was the Day When...
Well, you got to go back to 432. St. Patrick, roughly 16 years old, captured by Irish pirates from his home in Great Britain and taken in as a slave to Ireland. That's why we're doing all this.
That's the reason, huh?
Don't know how corned beef and cabbage became involved, but...
And a lot of alcohol.
Right.
We Americanized the you-know-what out of this.
Then we got Hallmark involved. 1876. Mark, I did this for you because you and I like our old track and field when you used to see a lot of it on TV. First ever high jump of over 6 feet on this day in 1876. It was by Marshall Jones of Great Britain. Up around 8 feet now.
All right.
1897. Another Brit. Man, Great Britain's all over the show today. Bob Fitzsimmons, a Brit, KO's American gentleman Jim Corbett in the 14th round. And Bob became the heavyweight champion of the world. 1905, Einstein finishes his paper detailing the quantum theory of light.
That right there. That's a quick read.
Well, it became the foundation of modern physics. Not a quick read. Kind of like Faulkner on steroids, but it was important. 1930. They began construction of the Empire State Building on this day 92 years ago. It was the first ever skyscraper in America that was planned to be more than 100 floors. On this day in 1969, Golda Meir became the first, and I believe still only, female prime minister of Israel. 30 years ago today, only whites were allowed to vote, but the white South African voters voted 2-1 to end apartheid. My goodness. 9
On
years.
the other side of that vote, by the way.
What?
The other side of that vote doesn't stand the test of time. You know what I mean?
Right. At all.
33%.
I understand.
Right.
30 years ago.
Yeah.
Well, they had only let Mandela out of prison within like 18 months of this vote. I mean, they held on to it for as long as they could, Mark. 9 years ago today, the Canes won the ACC basketball title by beating North Carolina by 10 in the final. 3 years ago today, Rory McIlroy wins the Players by 1 over Jim Furyk. Just 3 years ago, do you know what he won? $2.25 million.
And it was 3.6.
Right. In 3 years, it went up over 50%.
Well, they better keep getting it up, or that other tour is going to keep trying to grab guys.
Yeah, they announced
4 U.S. events yesterday.
One of them's at Trump National Bedminster, because the PGA Tour kind of told Trump a couple years ago, we're done with you. And so I think Trump said to this other tour, you could use my courses.
Right, and he and Norman are tight.
Yes. I was a little surprised Doral wasn't on it.
I was too.
Mark, Bobby Jones, Sammy Baugh, Fred Akers, and Nat King Cole, all born on this day, March 17th. Celebrating birthdays today, Cito Gaston is 78. Danny Ainge is 63. Mia Hamm is 50.
Wow. I mean, the answer is yes, but it's, wow, she's 50.
Kyle Korver's 41. Katie Ledecky is 25. Cordarrelle Patterson's 31. DeForest Buckner's 28. Rob Lowe is 58. Kurt Russell is 71. Gary Sinise is 67. Patrick Duffy.
You know, going all Bobby Ewing on us, are you?
Yep. 73.
Is he 73 or 72? Sorry, you've had to have watched Dallas to understand that joke, and we're not going to explain anymore.
Right. He disappeared for a year, but then he came back. And the Wolf. Tracy Wolfson's 47.
Happy birthday, Tracy.
And that is Today Was the Day.
Couple of little omissions here. 1958, the first ever greatest hits compilation is released. It's by Johnny Mathis. It would stay on the Billboard Top 200 album chart for over 9 years. That record not broken until Pink Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon. And Billy Corgan from the Smashing Pumpkins is double nickels today, 55.
How fitting that one of the most Celtics of all time, Danny Ainge, was born on St. Patrick's Day.
It's a dadgum good point you have right there.
Dadgum good point there, Felipe.
You've heard folks elsewhere mock Florida is gonna Florida. Well, Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
We go to Japan for the good, where researchers in Japan have discovered that 30 to 60, easy for me to say, minutes per week of muscle strengthening activities, such as yoga, lifting weights, or even gardening, can reduce the risk of death causes from all causes by 10 to 20%. You add aerobics into it, they've seen the benefits rise 40%. So let's go lift something and run as fast as we can. For the bad, we go to Alva, Florida, where a Lee County gardening club had more than 100 of their plants stolen the day before they hosted their biggest fundraiser of the year. A woman was caught on security cameras driving up to the garden club and loading her SUV with flowers set to raise money the next morning. They have not yet found the green thumb theft. And finally, the ugly. We'll go to Cape Coral, where Brian Webb and Brandon Jordan are not nice guys. They had a company called Webb Roofing and Construction. Problem was they were scamming many people out of much money, still from roofs from Irma. As part of the con, they were getting homeowners to sign over their insurance claim rights and have them sign an advertising agreement where they could have signs placed in their yards, and they never fixed roofs and collected a bunch of money. Fortunately for all of us, they are no longer on the streets. And that, David, is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today's St. Patrick's Day, 2022.
The tournament tips off in a little less than 2.5 hours. Tips off on CBS. CBS, True TV, TNT, and TBS. Those are your channels, ladies and gentlemen. Those are your television channels. CBS, True TV, TNT, TBS. That's what you need to make it through really this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, there's other sports on. The NHL and the NBA
whatever.
are still going, but as David said, whatever.
Michigan,
12:15, Michigan and Colorado State get us going on CBS.
and the interesting thing is, it's Mountain West against Big Ten, but it's the Mountain West school that's the 6.
They'll wear the light jerseys, but they're not favored. Right now, the Wolverines, a 1.5 favorite in that one. The next game, South Dakota State and Providence. That's a 13 versus a 4. Providence just a 2-point favorite as the 4 seed in that game.
I say we have madness. Not necessarily at the end, but I say we will have madness through this weekend.
Well, and it's which day? You know, typically one day's crazy, one day's a little more chalky. Do we get it today or we get it tomorrow?
Well, we've got 2 opportunities today that people seem to be all over. You mentioned South Dakota State against Providence, the 13 over the 4. Tonight, Vermont as the 13 against the 4, Arkansas.
Just a 5-point favorite are the Razorbacks in that game. I'll tell you the other one. We've got the 5-12. Indiana's just a 3-point dog as a 12 seed. That one's tonight as well. 7-10, Murray State and San Francisco. A good team will go home from a mid-major conference tonight.
I know. That's a bummer.
It is.
I'm hoping Murray State wins so they can play Kentucky, just like I want Davidson to beat Michigan State so they can play Duke.
I gotcha. I understand.
And tell you what, that's something we haven't talked about. So who do you think? Like, I remember when Chris Evert had announced that she's retiring at the end of this U.S. Open. And when the draw came out, she would have met Martina in the semis. Well, she made it all the way to the quarters. Zina Garrison beat her. Her last match ended up being not against Martina, which everybody thought would be fitting and the whole deal. It was against Zina Garrison. Where do you see Coach K and Duke going out?
In the Elite Eight.
Oh, so you think they make it all the way to...
I think they play Gonzaga, and they lose to Gonzaga in that game.
I got them losing to Texas Tech.
Okay.
In the Sweet 16. In a physical, ugly 63-61 game. But just
and
curious.
that's the type of game, because when they've lost, it's been a scoring problem for Duke. And we all know Texas Tech plays terrific defense.
Just curious where people have Duke going out, or if they have them going to the Final Four. A ton of money in the last 2 days has been bet on Duke to win.
And you will see, like in other cases, when Duke starts winning, people that maybe normally didn't root for Duke will have a soft spot for Coach K. Not me, of course, David, but there will be people out there that will develop a soft spot for Coach K in his final tournament appearance.
Gonzaga, Kentucky, Arizona, Iowa, Final Four for me.
Mine are Tennessee, Wisconsin, Gonzaga, and Kentucky, with Gonzaga cutting down the nets.
So you go a 1, a 2, and 2 threes. I go 2 1s, a 2,
and a 5.
And a 5.
And a 5. Enjoy the tournament, everyone. Have a terrific St. Patrick's Day. Be safe. We'll be back tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. on the Florida Sports Network.
David Moulton for Napa, Napa Auto Parts, and Napa Filters. Insist on Napa